the last vestige of the Senju in the Uchiha family. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1 Uchiha. Winter in the 46th year of Konoha. Heavy snow is coming, and with it, the dark clouds of war that are about to cover the entire ninja world. As the number of frictions on the borders gradually increases, all countries have spontaneously entered war preparations. At this time, the ninja world is like a powder keg, waiting for a spark to fly from somewhere, and a huge explosion will occur that will include everyone in the world. Food prices have soared, the purchase of medicines and ninja tools has increased significantly, and all ninjas on vacation at home have been recalled. In Konoha village, even the ordinary people far away from the center of power have noticed that the next ninja world war is not far away. However, all this seems to have little to do with the Shiratori family. It's not that they look down on the third ninja world war that is destined to come, but Shiratori's father seems to have more urgent problems to solve. For example, damn it, why are there still no customers? Son, think of a solution. Let alone the rent, we can't even pay the electricity bill. How about Dad and I sneak into Ichiraku Ramen tonight to steal their recipe, or put some laxatives in to set them up? Dad, you're not even a ninja. Be careful that Mr. Handbeater will knock you down with a rolling pin and send you to the Konoha police force. Shiratori finally couldn't help it. What kind of idea is this? His dad is still as unreliable as ever. It doesn't matter, they are all my relatives in there, and they will be released in a few hours at most. You've even thought of a way out, and you really don't even have the confidence to face Handbeater. Why do so many people go to Ichiraku Ramen? What's so good about their family? They don't even have a decent store. Maybe the boss looks more reliable. Son, it's already this time, don't tease me. In a small noodle shop near the Uchiha clan's land in Konoha village, the young man was going crazy with the account book in his hand. 5-year-old Shiratori was about to go out for training. After traveling to this world, he thought he had a good start. To be frank, in terms of bloodline, Shiratori might be the most noble person in the world, but this nobility itself represents mistakes. Shiratori's unreliable father was named Uchiha Toyotaka. Oh no, there is no Uchiha, just Toyotaka, because he had been gloriously expelled from the family. He is the son of the previous head of the Uchiha clan, and also the eldest brother of the young and promising new head of the clan, Uchiha Fugaku. Shiratori's mother was from the Senju clan and died of a sudden illness when he was half a year old. This is a bad thing. The Senju and Uchiha have been hostile to each other for generations, and their hatred has lasted for thousands of years. Even if they jointly founded the Konoha ninja village, they could not eliminate the natural barrier between the two. These two families must not intermarry. Besides, Shiratori's mother is not just an ordinary member of the Senju clan. Shiratori's grandfather is named Senju Takeichi, who is the previous patriarch of the Senju clan who has been in seclusion. And Senju Takeichi's father, Shiratori's great-grandfather, is the famous Konoha second Hokage Senju Tobirama. So when the Uchiha high-level officials learned that the son of their family's patriarch eloped with Senju Tobirama's granddaughter, they were almost collectively angry and had a cerebral hemorrhage. As the son of the patriarch, he could actually do such a thing. Even if you, Uchiha Fungayu, have no talent, have not opened your eyes, and are not even a ninja, that won't work. Who doesn't know what the Uchiha clan's attitude is towards Senju Tobirama? If conditions did not allow it, they would have wanted to dig Senju Tobirama out of the grave and punch him every morning, noon, and evening to whip his corpse. The attitude of the Senju clan is no less. To this day, most of the Senju clan members are still resentful of the death of the first Hokage. They attributed the untimely death of Senju Hashirama to the duel with Uchiha Madara. Moreover, there are two families that cannot wash away the historical grievances. So after the two families jointly established the Konoha ninja village, they once again reached a consensus for the first time to catch these two bastards. Who would have thought that when the two families found them in a small mountain village in the land of fire, they saw the two people's unflinching eyes and the newly born white bird in the cradle. Yes, we have a child. What to do after the rice is cooked is always a historical problem. Given the identities of the two people, the final punishment can be said to be painless. Fengayu and his wife were expelled from their respective families and deprived of the names of Uchiha and Senju. Well, that's it. Shiratori sometimes thought that if his grandfather and grandfather in this life were not the patriarchs of the two families, he would have been drowned on the day he crossed over. People with connections have privileges. Wait a minute. What for? Shiratori had already pushed the door halfway open and turned to look at his cheap father. Fengu threw a purse over. Go shopping first, as usual. Dad, can't you go by yourself? I still have to practice. Hehe, don't you get a discount if you go? Shiratori rolled his eyes. The clanland of the Uchiha clan is the most unique place in Konoha village. The core area is centered on the building of the Konoha police force, and the mansions are closely adjacent. The smallest mansion is almost the same as the main house of other small ninja clans. The elegant pavilions, the huge area, and the Flame Fan clan emblem painted on every courtyard wall all reflect the pride and confidence of the noble Uchiha clan. The most lively place in the clanland is the commercial street. Grocery stores, restaurants, clothing stores, snack stands. Even if you turn right at the end of the street, you can see a rather large hospital. The Uchiha clan's clan territory looks like a city within a city or little Konoha. In the commercial street, the small Shiratori was struggling to carry large and small packages, and the scene seemed extremely inconsistent. There was obviously not much business, so why buy so many ramen ingredients? He was a little helpless. On the way, the residents around him greeted him enthusiastically. Little Shiratori has grown taller. You've grown so big in a blink of an eye, and you're almost old enough to go to school. Wow, Shiratori. Let your sister pinch your cheeks. That bastard Fengayu is squeezing you again. Damn guy, what an irresponsible father. Shiratori greeted the residents enthusiastically, with a smile from the heart on his face. When he was a child, he helped his father to buy things in the clanland. As soon as he learned to walk, he thought that he would be discriminated and hated because of his parents, and he also imagined whether the drama of "Don't Bully the Young Man" would happen. Facts prove that he thought too much. The Uchiha clan members did have a lot of opinions about their parents, but this dissatisfaction did not extend to him. On the contrary, because he was expelled from the family and deprived of the name of Uchiha at birth, the residents here felt more pity for Shiratori. In addition, he was born precocious, with a sweet mouth and cute appearance, and was loved by almost all residents. In fact, the attitude of the Uchiha clan towards Shiratori's father was somewhat contradictory. Uchiha Fengayu, who wandered around the clanland carefree every day in his childhood, was also the child they had seen since childhood. So when they learned that their family was poor, these innately evil Uchiha clan members hated him for marrying a woman from the Senju clan, and at the same time, gave discounts to Shiratori for various lame reasons when he purchased things. Among them, Fengu is hateful, but we can't let Shiratori starve, is the one that appears most frequently. Not only civilians, but also Uchiha ninjas are silently helping. For example, there is an unwritten rule in the clan that all ninjas who go on missions must go to Fengu's noodle shop for a meal after the mission. This is why the ramen shop with no color, fragrance, or taste has not closed down. Walking, Shiratori passed by a pancake shop. Uchiha Jing, who was cleaning the garbage at the door, warmly invited him to come in and sit down. Shiratori couldn't resist and had to agree. Uchiha Tesuki, who was reading a newspaper in the store, saw Shiratori and smiled, and brought out a plate of freshly baked pancakes. Uncle Tesuki, I don't have any money, so I won't eat. Shiratori waved her hands repeatedly. What money or no money, this is Auntie's treat. Come on, it's still hot. Uchiha Jing touched Shiratori's little head. Shiratori didn't act pretentiously, picked up the pancake and started eating, and her heart was also warm. The vast majority of the Uchiha clan are ordinary people like the Huoshio couple. They are not ninjas, they are ordinary, and they live a simple life. They have no idea about the internal struggles of the village, do not understand the will of fire, do not care about the family's ambitions, and just want to live their own lives. They are proud of being from the Uchiha, and recognize their identity as Konoha people from the bottom of their hearts. Perhaps more than 10 years later, when they are ruthlessly killed in their sleep by a genius and a filial son, in that dream, that will never wake up, it will only be some trivial matters of life. Shiratori suddenly felt that the fragrant sesame cake in his hand was a little tasteless. His thoughts gradually drifted away, thinking of the newly born exterminated boy, the unreliable father, some familiar people, the insidious and disgusting maggot of the ninja world of the third generation and Anzo. By the way, little Shiratori, the two little guys, Konoha and Senju, are back, but it seems that they have caused some trouble. Uncle Shao put down the newspaper and thought about it, a little uncertain. Didn't they follow Uncle Yashiro to carry out the mission? Yes, a tribe member saw Yashiro return to the village just now, but he was furious and walked into the gate holding two little guys by the back of their collars in each hand. It is said that he was covered with wounds and his eyebrows were burned off. Uchiha Yashiro is a jonin in the tribe. Although he is not an elite, he is an open-minded Uchiha jonin after all. It is rare to see him in such a miserable state. Shiratori scratched his head and suddenly remembered that, if he followed the unwritten rule, those people seemed to be eating noodles in my noodle shop. There are melons to eat. Shiratori carried a big bag taller than himself on his shoulders and ran to his own noodle shop. At a street corner not far away, an old man and a young man were peeping. "Grandpa, stop talking nonsense. Find a chance. It's not good to beat him up for no reason. Beat him up. It's hard to say who will win or lose. Then you look down on me. He is only 5 years old. 5 years old, so what? Did you forget something? What? That brat opened his Sharingan when he was born. No system. Authentic Naruto fanfiction. Updated at 10 o'clock and 1800 hours every day. Chapter 2: A genius born with open eyes. Brother, tell me, why is my life so miserable? Uchiha Yashiro just sipped a few mouthfuls of noodles, and then he held Fengai's hand and cried, and wiped his nose with the other sleeve. Fengai wanted to pull his hand back with disgust, but he had no choice but to throw it into the bowl of noodles. Damn it, you should be self-sufficient. At this time, Yashiro's image can be described as tragic. Half of his flirty grey hair was burned by the fire, and his body wrapped in bandages was topped with a bruised head. Ouch, isn't it just a failed mission? What's the big deal? Let the child sit down and eat something. No. Yashiro turned around and glared at the two brothers standing next to him. You are not allowed to eat for the next 2 days. Don't starve the child. Let me make 2 bowls of noodles now. No. Let them realize their mistakes. This is a punishment. We'll talk about the punishment tomorrow. I know. Brother Fengai, I'm not saying anything bad about you. You can't spoil the child too much. Did I spoil the child? I just wanted to earn more money for your 2 bowls of noodles. Fengai was so sad that he wanted to cry. Look at you. You ordered a bowl of the cheapest clear soup ramen and then put a lot of free toppings in it. What's the matter? You came to my place of rich people. You deserve to have half of your hair burned, and you should be burned bald. Bah. I'm back. Shiratori ran in breathlessly, closed the door, and blocked the biting cold wind outside the house. He looked around, and finally fixed his eyes on Yashiro's head. Pucci. It didn't matter that he smiled, but Inahiro and Senju, who were originally watching their noses and hearts, suddenly put on masks of pain and hurriedly began to recall sad things. Pucci, the memory failed. You still have the face to laugh here? Yashiro was so angry that he sprayed his saliva mixed with noodle soup on the faces of the 2 brothers. That, Uncle Yashiro, what happened? It would have been better if Shiratori didn't ask. As soon as he asked, Yashiro's expression began to twist, and he subconsciously wanted to grab Fengai's hand. This time Fengai was smart and quickly took his hand away. It turned out that, because of the recent tensions between the 5 major countries, the village gave Uchiha Yashiro a mission to investigate the Frost Country. Thinking that although the Frost Country was actually controlled by Kumogakure, it was still a buffer zone between the 2 major countries. He took Inahiro and Senju to see the world. Unexpectedly, when they disguised themselves as merchants and entered a small town, they happened to meet the Kumogakure ninjas who came to investigate. Originally, with Yasashi's strength, he could easily lead them to escape, and Kumogakure would not invest a lot of energy to hunt down a few spies. Who would have thought that Inohiro was so smart that he directly raised the difficulty of the level to hell level. This kid actually released the Sharingan and wanted to use illusion to control the ninjas who came to investigate. Yasushi turned his head and glared at Inohiro. When did you open your eyes? Last month. Less than a month. Do you know illusion? Can your pupil power support the consumption of Sharingan illusion? After I opened my eyes, I went to the clan to read the scrolls recording illusions. I didn't think it was that difficult, so. Inohiro's voice became smaller and smaller. Oh my god. Yashiro held his head. You dare to use illusion with just one Magatama and a newly opened Sharingan? I was wrong. You are right. I'm wrong. I shouldn't have taken you two brothers to carry out the mission. Facing the Cloud Ninja, Inohiro opened his Sharingan with extraordinary confidence and gave a death stare. The result was that his pupil power was drained, and under the confused expression of the opponent, his eyes rolled up, and he fell straight down, like a hit porcelain. It would be fine if he just lay down, but the problem is that this guy exposed his Sharingan. Do you know how attractive the blood limit of the Sharingan is to the Cloud Village? Mr. Uchiha Yashiro will tell you with his actual actions. Poor Yashiro, while taking care of Tiho, he had to carry Inohiro, who had fallen into a peaceful sleep like a baby, and was chopped by a large number of Cloud Ninja all the way from the Frost Country to the border of the Fire Country. This battle, if you don't know, you might think he has taken down the Raikage's office. Wait, I have a question. Shiratori raised his hand. Please speak. Since it's Inohiro's fault, why should Tiho be punished together? That. The 9-year-old Tiho smiled embarrassedly. It was me who suggested that my brother use the Sharingan illusion to control the other party. Shiratori gave a thumbs up. Great. I didn't know that you, the instigator, were the mastermind. Really, you have become so arrogant after having the Sharingan. Can you learn from Shiratori, who opened his eyes the day he was born, and as the youngest Sharingan owner in history, he is usually low-key, humble and doesn't cause trouble. Humble? Low-key? Not causing trouble? The two brothers thought that you are a bit ridiculous. Didn't he beat us enough before? He wanted to refute, but when he looked up, he found that Shiratori was looking at them with a smile. Yes, the 8th uncle taught you. Tiho immediately looked like he agreed with it. He was scared in an instant. Shiratori smiled on the surface, but he was more helpless in his heart. Do you think I want to open my eyes when I was born? The condition for opening the Sharingan is to suffer a huge mental stimulation. So is there anything more exciting than discovering that he has traveled through time? No. After being in a closed space for 10 months, even his thinking seemed to be stagnant. He was finally released and saw a strange woman with a loving face holding him who had inexplicably become smaller in her arms, and a strange man dancing in the house with joy. Before he could recover, a group of fierce and ferocious men broke into the room, with expressions on their faces that they wanted to chop him up and feed him to the dogs. As a greenhouse flower of the new era, how could he have experienced this? So, he opened a Magatama on the spot. Yashiro was still scolding the two brothers, and Shiratori, who was eating melons and was satisfied, greeted a few people and prepared to go out to practice. Such diligent performance was naturally regarded as a positive example by Yashiro, and he was criticized by the two brothers again. When Shiratori walked out under the resentful eyes of Daoho and Tiho, Yashiro suddenly looked at Fengayu. What? Are you going to teach me a lesson by the way? Fengayu squinted. What a mess. Yashiro put his face close to Fengayu and lowered his voice. Your brother, our clan leader Fugaku, his child was born. Did you know? I know. I went to see him secretly. The child is so cute, but still not as good as my son. What's the matter? In 2 days, a regular clan meeting will be held at Nanga Shinto Society, and the name of this young clan leader will be officially written into the family tree. Hearing this, Fengayu seemed to have thought of something, with a look of expectation that could not be concealed in his eyes. Brother. That's right. I'm going to prepare for this clan meeting. The matter of Zao Shiratori can't be delayed any longer. You are you, and he is him. No matter what, he is the blood of our Uchiha. He should. Chapter 3 He has to thank me. The early winter sun shines on my body, warm and cozy. Obviously, Konoha Village's snow removal plan does not include this remote path. Shiratori walks on the forest path, and the sound of stepping on the snow is heard. The destination is the familiar abandoned training ground at the end of the road. He decided to increase his daily training time by 1 hour. The reason is simple. The young man who destroyed the clan was born alone against 7. This means that according to the normal timeline, the demise of the Uchiha clan has officially entered a 13-year countdown. In fact, according to the experience of countless predecessors who travel through time, the Gozichu is the safest way. Shiratori has also thought about whether to take his cheap father to hide outside the village, hiding in an unknown deep mountain forest until the son of prophecy comes to save the world. But when I think of the uncles and aunts in the clan who are very good to me, I still feel a little bit reluctant. Besides, hiding outside the village is not necessarily safe. Shiratori has not forgotten why his father, who had already settled down outside the village, took him back to Konoha village to live. According to his father and grandfather, his mother died of a serious illness. He was too young at the time and had no memory of it. But Shiratori was a time traveler. Even though he was in swaddling clothes and couldn't speak or move, he still saw everything with his eyes. Shiratori's steps suddenly stopped and he looked back suspiciously. The woods were as quiet as usual. He could see a little squirrel jumping alone on a branch. Was it an illusion? Shiratori scratched his head and continued to walk forward. It was the end of the month, and his grandfather would come to check his homework at the beginning of next month. Thinking of the big stone with a diameter of almost 1 meter, Shiratori was a little scared. At the age of 5, he squatted 20 times with this thing. It was a bit cruel. He practiced on his own on weekdays. Occasionally, some Uchiha ninjas would sneak over in their free time and pretend to meet by chance and teach him some ninja tools or small ninjutsu. And there were always a few days every month when his grandfather would come to Konoha village to practice with him. Unlike the Uchiha ninjas who were restrained and did not dare to teach too many clan ninjutsu during instruction, Shiratori's grandfather, Senju Takeichi, had no taboos and taught whatever he wanted. One day, he even made a list of the Senju clan's secret techniques and asked Shiratori which one he liked. For the arrogant and even somewhat retaliatory behavior of the former clan leader, the secluded Senju clan's high-level officials chose to turn a blind eye and let him go. Compensation may be the main reason, but there may not be no fear factor. They will not forget how this person turned themselves from clan leader to former clan leader. Shiratori stopped again and looked back. It was still the small forest covered with snow. Strange. Am I hallucinating? This forest is located in the eastern suburbs of Konoha, with few people. Together with the abandoned training ground, it belongs to Shiratori's secret base. Except for the occasional 2 mysterious green-clothed men, one big and one small, passing by in a handstand running manner, there are basically no other people. Speaking of handstand laps, Shiratori had actually tried it, and the training effect was indeed good, with a significant improvement in upper limb strength, muscle control, and sense of balance, but in the end he still removed this item from his training plan, mainly because it was too embarrassing. Of course, if his grandfather was willing to accompany him to embarrass himself, he wouldn't mind. Who the hell is he? Exclamation mark. Shiratori's eyes were flowing with blood red light, and he suddenly turned his head and glanced behind him. In each of his eyes, a Magatama was rotating around the dark pupils. Sharingan. Although it was only opened for a moment, under the powerful insight of the Sharingan, everything around him became extremely clear at that moment, and even time seemed to slow down. In his eyes, a piece of clothing slowly hid behind a big tree. Found you. Shiratori took out a rusty shuriken from the ninja bag and shook his wrist. Bang! The shuriken pierced deeply into the tree trunk, and the person behind the tree was startled and jumped out in a panic. Who are you? Shiratori looked at the boy who was only 10 years old at most not far away, with a confused look on his face. He came out to do the job of following at such a young age. Ahem. The boy cleared his throat and felt a little uneasy when he looked at Shiratori's pair of Sharingans. My name is Uchiha Timu, and I'm the grandson of Elder Setsuna. So. I'm the grandson of Elder Setsuna. I know, you just said it. Then why don't you do it? Why should I do it? The air suddenly became quiet, and an awkward atmosphere surrounded them. Timu didn't know what else he should say. My grandfather is Uchiha Setsuna. the most respected elder of the Uchiha clan, and the one who ordered you and your son to be expelled from the family. Don't you want to beat me? Goodbye. Seeing that Temu stopped talking, Shiratori waved his hand and turned away. Hey. Shiratori's decisiveness caught Temu off guard, and he hurriedly chased after him. Don't you hate my grandfather? Why should I hate him? He's just following the clan rules. That's also. Temu was speechless. Brother, are you so sensible? This is the reason I came up with great difficulty. You interrupted my train of thought. Anything else? No, there is. I heard that you are the most dazzling genius of this generation of Uchiha. I want to challenge you. Shiratori shook his head and kept walking. First of all, I'm not a member of the Uchiha clan. My name is Shiratori instead of Uchiha Shiratori. And secondly, you win. I admit defeat. No. Temu was stunned, and Shiratori walked past him and ignored him. In fact, Shiratori was also a little helpless. What's the trick? Getting up early in the morning just to block me here? And judging from the other party's appearance, it seems that he is not very willing. I don't understand. Just when Shiratori thought the matter had come to an end, you little brat are so rude. Is it because your mother died early? Or is it because your useless father doesn't care about you that you are so undisciplined? Shiratori paused, then turned around expressionlessly. Such precise targeting of parents to launch personal attacks. Your surname is probably Hiruno, right? Little friend, your forehead is black today. I counted with my fingers. I'm afraid you will have a bloody disaster today. Looking at Shiratori's uncertain face, Temu couldn't help but tremble a little. Sorry, you just want to be beaten. I can see that. Shiratori stretched out his right hand and hooked his fingers. Come on, satisfy you. Temu took a deep breath. In any case, he finally achieved his goal. After knocking this kid down, he should apologize. Where is he? Just when Temu was a little distracted, Shiratori, who was not far away, suddenly disappeared. Before he had time to look around, he felt an attack on his head. Bang! As Temu staggered to stabilize himself, he found that Shiratori suddenly appeared beside him. He subconsciously punched back, and then saw a flash of red in Shiratori's eyes. Sharingan activated. Shiratori slightly turned sideways to avoid the punch, and then grabbed the opponent's collar. The world was spinning. Shiratori stabbed Temu headfirst into the snow pile, and then kicked him without mercy. Bang! Temu flew out in the air, and rolled several times when he landed. Damn it. Temu quickly stood up, and took out a kunai, and threw it at Shiratori. Under the observation of the Sharingan, the flying speed of the kunai became extremely slow. Shiratori stepped on the ground with his left foot and rushed over at high speed. He ignored the kunai that flew by his face and swung his arm to hit Temu's stunned face heavily. Snap. You. After being hit by a big bidao, Temu turned around and sat on the ground, dizzy and with fire in his eyes. The damage was not great, but the insult was extremely strong. Why is it also the clan rule of Uchiha that you are not allowed to slap in the face during a fight? Shiratori looked down at him with a teasing smile on his face. I'll make you talk dirty. If you have the ability, don't use your Sharingan. Temu stood up in a panic, stepped back a few steps, and opened a distance from Shiratori that he thought was safe. Okay. Shiratori did not hesitate at all, and really closed his Sharingan. Are you ready? Don't look down on me, you guy. Shiratori moved. Temu's eyes blurred, and he saw a shadow appear in front of him in an instant. Before he could react, he felt a huge impact on his chest. Bang! Exclamation mark. Shiratori kicked Temu in the chest and kicked him out directly, and his embarrassed figure fell in the middle of the road. Cough. Temu lay on the ground, holding his chest and coughing continuously. This kick squeezed all the air out of his lungs. This force, this speed, this fucking 5 years old? Exclamation mark. He barely stood up, staring at Bainaro, who was slowly walking towards him, feeling a full sense of oppression. I didn't expect that the other party had such a domineering momentum at such a young age. But, awesome. It's my turn now. Temu took a breath, clenched his fist, and charged at Bainaro. Bainaro looked at Temu quietly, and raised his hand casually. Smack. Temu's heavy punch was caught by a small hand casually. Impossible. Tingmu's face changed drastically. Nothing is impossible. Have you forgotten that my mother is from the Thousand Hands? Bainio grabbed the other party's fist and pulled it towards him mainly because his arms were short and he couldn't hit him unless he was close. Tingmu staggered when he was pulled, and just as he was about to resist, Bainio swung his foot and hit him hard. And this time, Shiratori didn't waste any more words. He rushed forward the moment Tingmu was kicked away. The large amount of chakra gathered on his arms made his sleeves flutter constantly, and even the air around his arms was slightly distorted. He punched Tingmu's head. In midair, Tingmu finally had a response in the critical situation. He raised his arms in front of him, thinking that he could block the attack, but he didn't see the smile on Shiratori's mouth. Too naive, kid. Bang. Shiratori's heavy punch hit Tingmu's crossed arms firmly, and then without a pause, he smashed the opponent's arms together on that unbelievable face. Bang! Exclamation mark. A loud noise, smoke, and dust filled the air, and snow flew. Tingmu fell to the ground, unable to get up again. His arms were bent unnaturally, and his whole face was sunken. The pair of nostrils, that could only barely see the shape, were still spurting blood. Shiratori walked slowly closer, as if he wanted to finish off the opponent. My grandfather is Uchiha Setsuna. Tingmu's eyes were horrified. I know, you've said it many times. Shiratori squatted down and punched Tingmu in the face. Tingmu rolled his eyes very straightforwardly and fainted completely. You were defeated so easily, which shows that you don't practice seriously. It's a good thing to be beaten by me. I can find out your shortcomings and make up for them later. Your grandfather will have to thank me. Shiratori stood up, mumbling to himself, but his eyes kept scanning the surrounding woods. Strange, am I really hallucinating? When Shiratori's departing figure disappeared, two figures walked out of the woods. Haha, if I show up now, bow to that little brat, and thank him solemnly, will he be very excited? Uchiha Setsuna, with white hair and beard, looked kind, and it was almost impossible to see the shadow of the sinister and cunning in his youth. Uchiha Fugaku lowered his head, and did not answer. Boring, I was just joking. Setsuna turned his gaze back to the direction where Shiratori left. He is indeed an interesting kid, but... He patted his head and said dissatisfiedly, whether to dodge or not, tit for tat, head on, like a reckless man. Why does our little Uchiha have a strong Senju flavor when fighting? Master Setsuna, as far as I know, Shiratori trained with his grandfather, and he is not considered an Uchiha now. If the status quo remains, no matter how high his talent is, he has nothing to do with the Uchiha clan. Setsuna turned around and was greeted by Fugaku's unflinching eyes. The two looked at each other. 1 second, 2 seconds. Ha. Uchiha Setsuna sneered, turned and left, his voice echoing in the cold wind of early winter. Fugaku, you finally look like a clan leader. Chapter 4, Elder Setsuna. A big enough snowfall can wipe out all traces of the world. In the abandoned training ground on the edge of Konoha village, Shiratori was sticking his butt out, looking for something in the snow. He didn't care, even though his two little hands were frozen red, and finally dug out a wooden sword under the tree. This might be his most valuable thing. The length of the wooden sword is almost as long as his height, and it is made entirely of solid wood. Even an ordinary adult would find it difficult to wield it casually, but it is as light as a feather in his hand. Shiratori performed a few sword flowers with one hand, and was ready to conduct more intensive training than before. There was no way Uchiha Itachi had been born, and the plot was about to get on track. The genocide incident was like a mountain pressing on his heart. Even if he was deprived of the name of Uchiha, he was not sure whether Uchiha Itachi would kill him and his son when he was doing business 10 years later. Chopping, stabbing, blocking, dodging. Shiratori wielded the wooden sword very skillfully, dodging tirelessly in the training ground. The snow on the ground was flying, and white steam came out of his head, and his little face was flushed. Your swordsmanship is not bad. Are you going to change your career to become a samurai in the future? Shiratori stopped and turned to look for the voice. An old man was standing at the edge of the training ground, looking at him with a smile. Who are you? Boy, you just beat up my grandson. Shiratori's eyes fixed. Uchiha Setsuna? It's not polite to call an elder by his name. Uchiha Setsuna walked into the training ground, found a big rock, waved his hand to wipe off the snow on it, and sat on it without any hesitation. What do you want to talk to me about? Anyway, I'm not here to thank you. Hearing this, Shiratori scratched his head awkwardly. Good fellow, still eavesdropping at such an old age. Setsuna casually crossed his legs, folded his arms across his chest, quickly glanced at the training ground, and finally refocused his gaze on Shiratori and said slowly, as a genius who opened the Sharingan at birth, why do you follow the path of those reckless men of the Senju family when you fight? My grandpa taught me. Senju Takaichi. Setsuna nodded, then said, but as far as I know, those brats from the 8th generation often interact with your family. Didn't they teach you anything? They taught me some simple japsu and the use of ninja tools. I haven't mastered the changes in chakra properties, so I can't release jutsu. What about ninja tools? Shurikens? Kunai? I thought they were useless, so I didn't practice much. Ha. Setsuna sneered. What a cocky kid with unrealistic ambitions. Hasn't anyone told you that being proficient in the use of shurikens and kunai is a basis of becoming a ninja? Do you think they are only used to kill enemies? By practicing the use of ninja tools, you can train your body coordination, reaction speed, and muscle force habits, allowing you to control your body to the greatest extent. Useless? As expected of a kid with the blood of the Senju clan flowing in his body, this kind of stupidity that makes me miss is exactly the same as that of those idiots. After a crazy output, Uchiha Setsuna suddenly felt refreshed, and even his expression became approachable again. Shiratori was speechless. He felt that this old troll was just looking for a reason to scold him, or scold the Senju clan. In fact, he understood all these principles, and just made up an excuse. The main reason why he didn't use ninja tools was because he had no money. Shiratori's family's economic conditions could not afford the consumption of ninja tools, and his grandfather didn't pay much attention to this aspect, so he would only consider ninja tools when practicing with familiar ninjas such as Uncle Yashiro. Setsuna stood up and walked in front of Shiratori. Even though his face was still calm, the momentum still made Shiratori feel uncomfortable. This is the momentum of someone who came from the troubled times and experienced the baptism of mountains of corpses and seas of blood. I watched the whole battle between you and Tingmu. Shiratori thought to himself that you are really cruel, watching your grandson being beaten but being indifferent. Your strength is not that great at all. It is impossible for you to catch the full force attack of the Uchiha clan's genin with one hand. This is a chakra use technique of the Senju clan. Shiratori nodded. At that time, he did cleverly integrate the flowing chakra into his arms, which greatly enhanced the muscle strength. This is similar to Tsunade's strange power. It is the secret technique of the Senju clan. This technique is very simple and can be learned in one go, but it puts a lot of pressure on the body. After refining a large amount of chakra, it simply and roughly stimulates the body's bones and muscles. If there is no Senju's vitality or advanced medical ninjutsu to support it, whoever uses it will be unlucky. You seem to be very confident in your chakra capacity, as if you believe that your chakra capacity is far beyond that of ordinary people, and you can squander it appropriately in battle. Shiratori was puzzled, isn't it? He is a direct descendant of the Senju clan. Isn't the Senju clan famous for its chakra ton? Another fool who was misled by the strength of the Shodame-sama. Setsuna sighed helplessly. The Shodame is the Shodame, and the Senju is the Senju. The two cannot be confused at all. Even if it is far less than the Shodame-sama, the chakra capacity of the Senju bloodline must be much stronger than that of the Uchiha clan, right? Shiratori was dissatisfied. If I tell you, now that two Uchiha and Senju with the same talent have exactly the same total amount of chakra under the same training intensity, would you believe it? Impossible. Shiratori answered firmly, the Senju clan possesses the body of a sage, and their chakra amount must be far greater than that of the Uchiha. Sage, body? The Uchiha was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized, you know a lot. The Senju clan is indeed the descendants of Ashura who possesses the body of a sage. It is not wrong to say that they have an incomplete body of a sage. This incomplete body of a sage gives them powerful physical energy, which makes their muscle strength and vitality extremely terrifying. As for the total amount of chakra, it is indeed far greater than that of ordinary ninjas, but unfortunately, this ordinary ninja does not include Oklan. The Uchiha clan has always been famous for its large amount of chakra. Why? Let me ask you, how is chakra formed? Spiritual energy and physical energy are mixed evenly to form chakra or physical strength. This is common sense that even 3-year-old children in Konoha know. Well, very good. To put it simply, a little spiritual energy plus a little physical energy can be mixed into a little chakra, right? Yes. So, Uchiha Setsuna smiled. The Senju clan only has abnormally strong physical energy, so what about mental energy? Without equal mental energy, how can the reckless men of the Senju clan produce massive amounts of chakra? Because, Shiratori was confused. This was different from what he remembered. Looking at Shiratori's expression, Setsuna nodded with satisfaction and continued, just like a wooden barrel, how much water it can hold at most is not determined by its longest plank, but by the shortest one. The same goes for chakra. Except for Yangju ninja, that only uses body energy to form positive nature chakra, and Yunju ninja, that only uses mental energy to form negative nature chakra. The total amount of chakra of a normal ninja depends on the weaker one of his physical energy and mental energy. The Senju clan is naturally strong in body, and through constant training of their spirit, they can possess a huge amount of chakra. The Uchiha clan is naturally strong in spirit, and as long as they work hard to train their body, they will have chakra comparable to that of the Senju clan. This is the advantage of the Uchiha and the Senju clan. The chakra of our two clans grows very fast, and the total amount of chakra is naturally superior to that of ordinary ninjas. Chakra is the foundation of ninjas. You can say that the chakra of the Senju clan with positive properties is unparalleled, or that the chakra of the Uchiha clan with negative properties is unparalleled in the world. But if you exclude the yin and yang tons and only look at the ordinary chakra, that is a 1-to-1 mixture of spiritual energy and physical energy, the Senju clan is absolutely impossible to surpass the Uchiha clan. Shiratori suddenly realized, yes, in addition to using yin and yang tons, for chakra, spirit and body are indispensable. The prominence of a single item does not mean anything. At most it means being more resistant to beating, or having a quicker mind. He also thought of some other things. For example, the terrifying vitality of the Senju clan and the Uzumaki clan is actually a special kind of yang ton. This power does not involve the spirit, so it has nothing to do with the total amount of chakra. As long as the bloodline is pure enough, after being injured, they will automatically extract body energy to form yang chakra, and then use the vitality generated by yang ton to quickly recover from injuries. And the Sharingan. Future Kakashi is always teased as lacking blue. The actual situation should be that the yin type chakra required to use the Sharingan, that is, the so-called yin type chakra will extract a large amount of spiritual energy, and both physical strength and chakra are composed of spirit plus body. The spiritual energy of non-Uchiha Kakashi is not outstanding, and there is not so much surplus after extraction. The spiritual energy is greatly reduced, and the physical strength and chakra will also be weakened. In addition, the excessive use of the Sharingan will damage the body, so people are numb. I don't know if Uchiha Itachi has a similar reason. Because he often overuses his pupil power, his physical strength and chakra are always at an extremely low level, so every time he appears in the later period, he looks like he has kidney deficiency. I always feel that something is wrong. Itachi's situation does not seem to be a lack of physical strength or chakra, but more like a problem with physical energy, or he has some disease. And what is the principle of Hashirama cells? In theory, this thing can only extract Hashirama's physical energy, and should only produce yang-type chakra. So why can this thing speed up the recovery of Katamatsukami? Can it also reduce the side effects of Obito's Kami? Could it be that the Sharingan also absorbs body energy? How did Tenzou get his wood release? Hashirama cells. Could it be that wood release is actually a kind of yang release? Impossible. He still knows the combination of water and soil. Or maybe Tenzou and Senju Hashirama's spiritual energy are naturally similar, and it combines with the physical energy generated by Hashirama cells to form an alternative Hashirama chakra that can successfully perform wood release. Hiss, my head hurts. It seems like I need to grow a brain. Snap. An old hand slapped Shiratori on the shoulder, interrupting his brainstorming. Kid, I've said so much just to tell you that the power given to you by the Senju bloodline is not invincible. Don't forget, you still have Uchiha blood. Uchiha Setsuna looked straight into his eyes. Your bloodline is the most special. You have the body of Senju and the spirit of our Uchiha. You, this wooden barrel, have no shortcomings. Don't just focus on your body. You can't neglect the practice of Sharingan. Starting tomorrow, wait for me here after lunch. I don't want to see you late. Shiratori looked up and watched Uchiha Setsuna leave. The old man laughed and crushed the snow that was gradually melting in the midday sun. The Flame Fan clan emblem behind him seemed to be burning. The body of Senju and the Sharingan of Uchiha. Just thinking about it makes me look forward to it. This was the first time Uchiha Shiratori met his mentor. After walking slowly and far enough away, Uchiha Setsuna suddenly tore off his disguise as a recluse and ran away anxiously. Before, he asked the clan leader Fugaku to send his grandson to the hospital. He was quite calm, but in fact, he was panicking. Tingmu, my grandson. Don't scare grandpa. You can't be in trouble. Otherwise, who will carry on my family line and take care of me in my old age? And you are too weak. You were beaten like this by a 5-year-old kid. Exclamation mark. Shame on you. Chapter 5 Enrollment. At the Uchiha clan meeting 3 days later, Uchiha Yashiro knelt on the ground and looked expressionless, but in his heart he had already cursed Shiratori 7 times. He had wanted to use this regular clan meeting to formally propose that Shiratori return to the Uchiha clan, but he didn't expect that 3 days ago, that kid beat Elder Setsuna's grandson into the hospital. Aren't you just causing trouble? Exclamation mark. Your unreliable father was expelled from the family by Elder Setsuna's order, and now you beat his grandson again. What? Because you think my task is too easy, you decided to make it more difficult for me. At this time, the topic of the clan meeting has officially entered the next item. Uchiha Itachi, the son of clan leader Uchiha Fugaku, was born, and his name will be officially written into the family tree, and he will obtain the status of young clan leader under the witness of the whole clan. Yashiro gritted his teeth and did it. He had contacted all the people who cooperated, and the arrow was on the string and had to be shot. Today, I, Uchiha Yashiro, will commit a crime and confront Elder Setsuna head on. Then, I think that Shiratori is a good kid. His father's mistakes should not affect him. Let's restore his surname Uchiha and write it into the family tree together with Itachi's name. Uchiha Setsuna made the decision without discussing it with everyone. He directly and forcefully decided the matter. The Yashiro just raised his butt and fell back. Although he looked calm, his mind was already a mess. Isn't it right? Is there something wrong with this plot? I haven't done anything yet. Setsuna's old voice continued, and I like this kid very much and have decided to accept him as my apprentice. A stone stirred up 1,000 waves. With Shiratori's talent, he really needs an excellent teacher to teach him. Everyone agreed on this. But Setsuna's identity is the real power elder of the Uchiha clan who has the final say. It can be said that he is the sky of the Uchiha clan today. If Setsuna accepts Shiratori as a disciple, then Shiratori's identity will not be as simple as an ordinary clan member. Elder Setsuna's small decision is quite interesting. The Nanga shrine was immediately filled with whispers. The heads of the Uchiha clans had different expressions. The clan leader Fugaku couldn't help but glance at Setsuna, who was sitting next to him in the main seat. The one with the least reaction was the 8th generation, because he hadn't even figured out the last thing. Isn't Tingmu a biological grandson? Did Shiratori's father give money? No, his family is almost so poor that they have to beg for food. Where did the money come from? Shiratori's life is peaceful and fulfilling. Since he went to Setsuna's one-on-one teacher class on time every afternoon, the door to a new world seemed to be opened by him. So ninjutsu can be used like this? So there are so many techniques for making hand seals? So there are so many details in refining chakra? So the nature of chakra can be changed like this? So, he was like Wang Luffy in the sea next door, who was beaten by teacher K for the first time after being educated by the misleading teacher Lei for 2 years. He felt that his Ren and Do meridians were open. Shiratori's grandfather would often visit him. After knowing that he had officially returned to the Uchiha clan and formally studied with Setsuna, he had no dissatisfaction and continued to teach him the training methods of Senju. It is worth mentioning that, although they knew that they were teaching the same junior, Uchiha Setsuna and Senju Takaichi had never met each other. It seemed that in their eyes, the other was a complete piece of shit, and even hearing the other's name would make them feel disgusted. 10 months passed in a flash. Today is the day when Shiratori enters the ninja school. Is the brat still not well? Elder Setsuna is here. Here I come. Shiratori came down from the second floor of the noodle shop with a small school bag on his back and saw Uchiha Setsuna standing at the door at a glance. On the first day of school, Setsuna said that he would personally send him to school. Master Setsuna, you are so worried. Fengai, who smiled flatteringly, pulled Shiratori's school bag and dragged him to Setsuna's side. Setsuna ignored him, took Shiratori's hand, and walked out of the noodle shop. Hey, old man, you're going the wrong way. The school is over there. I know. You know why you're going this way. Shut up. Don't talk nonsense. Can't you digest the food after eating too much? Setsuna led Shiratori into the Uchiha clan's territory. The early rising clan members looked at the old and young combination and showed surprised expressions. Then they smiled and saluted Setsuna and greeted Shiratori warmly. After passing through the Uchiha clan's territory, the two turned to the center of Konoha village, just like an ordinary grandfather and grandson, strolling casually on the bustling streets. Ordinary people don't know Setsuna, but the clansmen of the major ninja clans, including the spies of the Anbu hidden in the crowd, can't help but know him. I believe that soon, this news will be spread to the various clans and even the Hokage. Shiratori suddenly understood the intention of the old man's move. This is a strong declaration by Uchiha Setsuna. In the past, Shiratori had no clan or surname, just like a small grass on the street, no one cared. But after entering school, his talent will surely be amazing, and his name will appear on the desks of all Konoha's high-level officials, including the sinister and disgusting maggot in the sewer, Danzo. Setsuna's move is intended to tell everyone, this child is a member of my Uchiha Setsuna clan, and is the most promising and favorite junior of the old man. If anyone wants to have a crooked mind, then first weigh your own weight, and see if you are qualified. In fact, Shiratori missed a point. If it was just a declaration to the Konoha high-level officials, then it would be fine to stroll directly in the center of the village. Why did you go to the Uchiha clan first? In fact, the reason is very simple. The Uchiha clan is not a monolithic group. The intrigues and conspiracies that other big families have, the Uchiha clan naturally has no less. Setsuna is telling his clan members, Shiratori is the junior he recognizes, a legitimate and undisputed Uchiha. From now on, no one is allowed to make a fuss about his life experience. Setsuna achieved his goal, but Shiratori was miserable because he was late. Konoha Village Ninja School. Dong dong dong. Report. Come in. Shiratori walked into the classroom with an awkward smile on his face. Really, you're late on the first day of school, and you didn't even attend the entrance ceremony. The young male teacher stood on the podium, and his tone was very dissatisfied. Quickly introduce yourself to everyone. Yes. Shiratori turned to face the classmates. The classrooms of the ninja school are all stepped. Standing at the door, you can clearly see the faces of every student. My name is Uchiha Shiratori, from the Uchiha clan. Please teach me in the future. Go find your seat. Don't be late next time. Sorry, teacher. I will definitely next time. I won't next time. In fact, there is no need to find a seat, because the only seat left is the one in the corner of the last row. Facing the curious and admiring eyes of the classmates, Shiratori walked to the last row and sat down. In the next seat was a girl who was chewing bubble gum and looked a little naughty. Before he could politely say hello, the male teacher on the podium clapped his hands, drawing everyone's attention back to the front. Let me introduce myself. My name is Fuma Hayato, and I'm your teacher. Now I'll start calling the roll. Gato Light Hayate. Here. Kamizuki Izumo. Here. Umino Iruka. Here. Mitarashi Anko. The girl sitting next to Shiratori raised her hand casually. Student, do you want to be punished to stand on the first day of school? Here. Teacher Hayato had a headache, knowing that he had run into a troublemaker. In Ohana. Minamino Daisuke. Hinata Chinatsu. Uchiha Shiratori. Here. Chapter 6. Fire Escape. Konoha 48th year, summer. The blazing sun hangs high in the sky, but the warm wind of early summer cannot blow away the chill in everyone's heart. 3 classes of the ninja school are taking a battle class outdoors. A ninja wearing a Jonin chainmail came to everyone accompanied by the vice principal. The battle class was suspended, and everyone lined up. Some children were stiff and even their teeth were trembling. These were students whose family members were on a mission. Who is it this time? The Jonin's eyes swept across the 3 classes. Inohana-san, step out. A girl in the same class as Shiratori felt her legs go weak, and she almost fell to the ground. Her tears fell, which made the Jonin look reluctant. Shiratori sighed as she watched her follow the Jonin out of the school with the help of the vice principal. Inohana, an optimistic and cheerful little girl, always had a bright smile on her face. Who would have thought? And this is the 3rd one. In just 2 months, 3 classmates' relatives died in the border conflict. The situation deteriorated quickly, and a full-scale war was not far away. Inohana's father was a Jonin, and he was on a reconnaissance mission in the Frost Country. Kamatsuki Izumo stood beside Shiratori, with a worried look on his childish face, and said, "It is said that the Hidden Cloud Village has deployed some extraordinary people to the Frost Country. The Frost Country is a small country sandwiched between the 2 major countries of fire and lightning. If a war breaks out, it will become the main battlefield between Konoha and Kumogakuya. The 2 major ninja villages have already started competing for this important place." Jonin? Shiratori was shocked. Inohana's father should be the first Jonin to die in a local conflict in Konoha. Yes, even Jonin have begun to sacrifice. But it doesn't matter. It is said that the Jonin Minato Namikaze has already set off for the border. He is the strongest Jonin in our Konoha. With him, there will be no problem. Listening to Izumo's confident words, Shiratori seemed to know who the Hidden Cloud Village deployed to the Frost Country. Minato Namikaze. It seems that the AB combination is definitely there. He vaguely remembered that the first fight between Yellow Flash and AB combination was a prelude to the 3rd Ninja World War. Even the son of the Raikage and the 8 Tails Jinchuriki have begun to move out. Is Kumogakuya so impatient for the next Ninja World War? It's difficult. Shiratori rubbed his face. Too fast. He is not ready yet. Hey, Shiratori. Izumo Kamatsuki touched him with his elbow and whispered, "You should be preparing to graduate early." "Why do you ask that?" "Because I feel that the lessons in the ninja school are no longer useful to you." Izumo Kamatsuki looked admiring. "Even Hyuga Chinatsu couldn't last around in your hands. She is a genius from the Hyuga main family. I even doubt that Mr. Hayato can't beat you." "Not that bad." Shiratori waved his hands quickly. Standing in the front row, Chinatsu Hyuga, who vaguely heard the conversation between the 2, clenched her fists tightly. She heard from the elders in her family that Uchiha Shiratori might be the strongest genius of Konoha's generation. How could she, who grew up with praise and was also known as a genius, bear this? So in the 2nd week of school, she challenged Uchiha Shiratori in the battle class and was instantly defeated. What shocked her was not only that the opponent didn't use any chakra, but also relied on physical strength to knock her down with one punch, but also the amount of chakra. At the beginning of the battle, Hinata Chinatsu, who didn't dare to underestimate the enemy, opened her Byakugan, and then was stunned. The surging chakra in the opponent's meridians almost caught up with her father, who was a Jonin. In addition, what made her most frustrated was that Shiratori deliberately used his body to take a few of her soft punches and curiously pressed the hit point and then mobilized chakra to easily open the blocked acupuncture points. It was outrageous. Hinata Chinatsu's face was distorted as she began to recall the pain, but the culprit was distracted. Should I graduate early? Will I become cannon fodder? What will be the direction of the 3rd Ninja World War? Is there any room for maneuver? Shiratori looked at the sky. At such a young age, he was already concerned about the ninja world. Ding 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 ding. Shurikens in the sky tore through the breeze, and the sound of their collisions resounded throughout the training ground. After the test, Shiratori held a kunai and charged towards Uchiha Setsuna. Setsuna also took out a kunai and immediately fought with Shiratori. Lightning release Thunder Fang Blade. Shiratori stepped back slightly to distance himself, and a frightening blue electric current flowed on the kunai. He rushed forward again and slashed at Setsuna. Setsuna's kune broke into 2 pieces, and he was also knocked out by this extremely unreasonable force. Shiratori took advantage of the situation and rushed forward without hesitation, stabbing Setsuna's chest fiercely, but the stab missed. Setsuna, who dodged the attack, moved quickly around the training ground with Shiratori as a center. Shiratori also opened his Sharingan without hesitation, and 2 Magatama appeared in each of his eyes, rotating rapidly around his pupils. But the opponent was too fast. Even though the Sharingan had evolved into double Magatama, it still couldn't capture Setsuna's position, and could only vaguely see the afterimage. Old man, is this a foul? Didn't we agree to use only the strength of a Chunin? Haha, I was this strong when I was a Chunin. Setsuna's voice came from all directions. Shameless. Before he finished speaking, Setsuna instantly appeared above Shiratori's head, raised his right leg and smashed it hard. Shiratori caught a glimpse of this scene from the corner of his eye, and could only dodge awkwardly, rolling and crawling to a place not far away. Just as Setsuna was about to chase, he saw that Shiratori had already started to form hand seals, fire style, great fireball technique. The flames spit out condensed into a fireball with a diameter of several meters. However, perhaps because he was too hasty, this move missed the target. Boom. The fireball hit the empty ground in front of him. Setsuna just took a few steps back and avoided the exploding flames. Hehe. Boy, you didn't hit it even once. Are you a little panicked? You need to improve your psychological quality. Setsuna stepped on the ground and ran forward. The kunai in his hand cut through the flames that blocked his vision and kicked Shiratori, who was a little at a loss behind the flames. It's over, huh? With a bang, Shiratori turned into white smoke and dissipated. Shadow clone. When he looked up, as if he had sensed something, and saw Shiratori jumping into the air and falling from the highest point, and the fast and complex hand seals in the opponent's hands. Fire-style Shiratori inhaled, and even his chest swelled up great fire extinguishment. The compressed flames spewed out from his mouth, turning into huge waves in the air. The surging flames covered the sky and the sun, sweeping down to the ground, and the blazing flames illuminated the stunned old face. Nanny boom. The entire training ground was engulfed in flames. Chapter 7. The choice of the leading Jonin. The brothers Daoho and Tiho thought they had taken the wrong road. They hadn't seen each other for a long time, so they wanted to meet up with Bainaro. However, they saw a violent fire erupting in the distance, followed by a loud rumbling noise. The two hurried over and saw the following scene. The remote training ground had been demolished, and a shallow lake had replaced it. The surrounding area was filled with warm mist, and the trees next to it also had signs of being burned by fire. The elder Shanshan, whose body was completely black, and whose face could no longer be seen, walked through the mist towards the brothers, holding Bainaro, who looked unconvinced. What a weird scene. What on earth did you two do? At this time, the master and the disciple were still bickering. It was really one who respected the old and the other who loved the young. Do you want to kill me, you little brat? How is it possible? Fire escape can't kill people. Get out. Which idiot told you that? I was almost roasted by you. Let's not talk about this. Did you break the rules again just now, old man? I didn't. Huh? No? You clearly agreed not to use escape techniques. Could it be that I was the one who released the water explosion just now? It's all because of you, little bastard. I was putting out a fire. Do you know how to put out a fire? Do you want to burn down the whole village? You put out the fire, so why did you drag me into the water? I'm old, my eyes are blurry, and I didn't notice. Uchiha Setsuna grabbed the back of Shiratori's collar and walked past Nahori and Tiho, as if nothing had happened. Then he slowly retreated back. The noise here is a bit loud. You two go and explain that I'm developing new ninjutsu, and the old man narrowed his eyes dangerously. You didn't see anything today, understand? At this time, Setsuna was black. Half of his beard was burned, and when he spoke, there was a faint black smoke floating from his mouth, just like a burnt roast goose. The two brothers nodded frantically. We didn't see anything. Please don't kill us to silence us. Uchiha Setsuna's mansion. In the courtyard, Setsuna and Shiratori, who had cleaned up the filth on their bodies, wrapped themselves in a yukata, basked in the sun leisurely on the recliners, and chatted by the way. The topics were also varied, from the situation in the ninja world to what to eat in the evening, from the culprit of the toilet blockage to the candidate for the next Hokage. The main theme was to do whatever he wanted. It goes without saying that Setsuna's vision is experienced and poisonous. After a lifetime of intrigue, he can always see the problem with a straight face. Although Shiratori was just an innocent college student in his previous life, he relied on the fact that he had read the original work and combined it with the current situation and made up a lot of nonsense, which stunned the old man. Setsuna knew that Shiratori was precocious, but he didn't expect that he was so powerful. If it weren't for the fact that the Sharingan couldn't be faked, he would have suspected that he had taken the wrong child back then and brought the genius of the Nara clan here. As they chatted, the topic naturally returned to Shiratori himself. Have you thought about it? Graduate early? Yeah. Hey. Setsuna tilted his head, showing an expression of as expected, and said, I didn't agree with your enrollment at the beginning. What can you learn in that broken place? It's better to study in the clan. Don't you think so? Shiratori rolled his eyes. That's a ninja school. If you travel to Konoha and don't experience this kind of local characteristics in person, you will always feel regretful. Besides, the good times of childhood should of course be spent on campus. You can also regain the good old days, and maybe you can even raise a childhood sweetheart or something. Why not? He walked into the campus with great enthusiasm, but he regretted it after the first class. Campus life is so beautiful and youthful, which normal school teaches the use and maintenance of controlled knives in the first class. The next class is the distribution of vital parts of the human body and the effect of hitting. Screw you. Looking at the sweet and lovely female classmates holding kunai and shuriken, and gesturing on the lower three parts of the human model, Shiratori felt his whole body tense. Did I come to school to see this? Goodbye. Hey, kid, are you talking? The old man leaned over and kicked Shiratori with his leg. Ah, yes, you are right. Setsuna was satisfied. It was not easy to see this little bastard being humiliated. He continued, does the team leader have any favorites? I don't know who they are yet. Setsuna turned around and shouted. Compared with Shiratori, Tingmu, who looked more like a found person, came over reluctantly. Bring me the 2 pieces of letter paper I put on the upper right corner of the table, and hurry up. Got it. Shiratori was also a little embarrassed. He already knew that the chance encounter between Tingmu and himself was designed by Setsuna, and the old man even hid in the dark to watch the fight. Of course, Setsuna just wanted Tingmu to test Shiratori's strength, but he didn't expect that this warrior would add drama privately and add a self-righteous talk. So the last beating of Konoha in 46 years was more fierce than before. After a while, Tingmu took the things and handed them to Setsuna, and then left in a hurry. He had to be in a hurry. He felt phantom pain when he saw Shiratori. His face and arms hurt. Take a look for yourself. Setsuna handed the first piece of paper to Shiratori. Shiratori picked it up and saw that it was full of the names of the Jonin. If you choose to graduate with this year's graduates, then these are your team leaders. Shiratori glanced at it and frowned slightly. He didn't recognize any of the names on it. Not famous. Why do they all look like cannon fodder? Moreover, there is only one Inuzuka and one Shimura from the big clans of Konoha. The fighting power of the Inuzuka clan is obvious to all. They can turn into dogs and humans and spin in circles together, which highlights that one of them is unreliable. As for the Shimura clan, Shiratori feels dizzy when he sees the surname Shimura, especially when he thinks of the most famous ninja of the Shimura clan. He is not bragging, but his golden legend bloodline, which is of great scientific research value, may be inexplicably lifted up to the roots experimental table one day. Are you not satisfied with any of them? Then take a look at this. Seeing the entanglement in Shiratori's expression, Setsuna handed over the second piece of paper. Shiratori took it and took a casual look. Wow. Good guy. It almost blinded his eyes. Akimichi Choza, Serotobi Suten, Yamanaka Inoichi, Aburame Shiwari, Hinata Takashi, Serotobi Sora, Uchiha Yashiro. It seems that an acquaintance has sneaked in to fill the number? Never mind, it's not important. What is this? Recently, the ninjas in the village have been transferred frequently. Many team leaders will join the Anbu or go to the border to join the army. There are often vacancies in the Chunin and Genin of the team. Those who are good at medical ninjutsu are recruited by the hospital. Those who are good at sealing techniques join the sealing class, and some are sacrificed. So the higher-ups decided to reorganize the team and form some new teams. Then why? Shiratori raised the first piece of paper. You mean why not assign some outstanding jonin to lead the graduates? Setsuna shook his head with a mocking smile on his face. Because among this year's graduates, there are almost no graduates from big families, my child. Shiratori understood. Reality is so cruel. Some people, if they don't have any adventures, are born to be consumables. How about it? Have you chosen anyone this time? Oh, by the way, don't choose the 2 jonin from our clan above. Their strength is not very good, including the 8th generation. If you want our Uchiha jonin to be your captain, I will notify the elite jonin in the clan and go to the Hokage immediately to apply to lead the team. I think it's better not to. Shiratori stared at a name on the paper, thoughtfully. Oh, it seems that a decision has been made. Let me see who is so honored to be chosen by a super genius like you. Shiratori thought for a while. Forget it, I won't pick it. It's decided to be you. He pointed to the person he decided on and showed him to Setsuna. Setsuna was stunned, a little puzzled. It turned out to be him. Are you sure? Sure. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Graduation Exam. Battle against Asuma. The next day. Ninja School. Playground. Really? Can't someone else play games with the kid? Asuma Shiratori was in a bad mood. He had just finished a mission the day before and was sleeping in. In his dream, he dreamed that he and Hong were assigned to a small team during the team reorganization. Then Asuma, drooling and grinning, was shaken awake. The Enbu ninja told him that there was an urgent mission. When he rushed to the school, he found that the urgent mission was to become the chief examiner and fight against a 7-year-old kid. In theory, if you want to graduate from the ninja school early, you only need to tie with a senior student who is about to graduate. But Shiratori's situation is different, because he doesn't want to join the freshman team, but wants to jump the queue and team up with those senior genin who have graduated for several years. This had never happened before. The vice principal in charge of the school's daily affairs wanted to refuse directly, but because Shiratori was from the Uchiha clan and was a genius who was being trained, he reported it with a triad mentality. Unexpectedly, an order came down from above very quickly. The original rule was cancelled and changed to hold on for 3 minutes in the hands of a genin with no more than 2 years of experience. So a classmate who was drafted into the army made a brilliant appearance. But Asuma was not happy at all and even felt offended. 7 years old? Fighting? And with me? What the hell? Who are you looking down on? At this time, Shiratori standing opposite was also observing Asuma, wearing a white vest, holding a lollipop in his mouth, looking sloppy, just like a bad boy. Sure enough, the more mature and stable a person is, when he grows up, the more unruly he must be when he was a child. And he knew with his ass that this matter was not simple. It was a trivial matter, and he could just send a genin to show his respect. Why did he call Asuma? This is the youngest son of the 3rd Hokage, and one of the heirs of the Shiratori clan. Shiratori never underestimates himself. He knows that his reputation as the genius of the Uchiha clan has spread, and there must be spies from all the surrounding forces. Maybe a peeping Tom is also playing the telescope technique with the crystal ball in the office. How about, give him some face? When the time is up in 3 minutes, I will take the initiative to admit defeat. Hey, kid. What are you daydreaming about? Do you want to fight or not? Let me teach you a lesson quickly. I have to go back to sleep. Asuma couldn't help but speak when he saw Shiratori daydreaming. Shiratori came back to his senses and looked at the other party with squinting eyes and tilting his head, facing him with a sharp jawline, with an impatient look on his face. Shiratori, Damn, I hate people who pretend to be cool the most. Do you know that it's easy to get beaten up like this? Do you know that I won't be able to stop when I hit you later? Sorry, Sandame, I suddenly don't want to give you face. Are you all ready? As the referee, Hayato Fuma felt that the preparation time of both sides was about the same and the tension was strong enough, so he stepped back and asked the two. Ready, Hayato-sensei? Hurry up, you're dilly-dallying. Hayato nodded, looked at Asuma with a sympathetic look, and then said, then, the battle begins. As soon as the voice fell, Asuma suddenly jumped up and kicked Shiratori's head with a flying kick. He didn't mean to salute before the sparring. Remember, kid, next time you see this face of mine, what? Asuma, who was full of confidence, almost sprained his waist in the air, and his kick missed. So fast. Shiratori moved sideways to 3 meters away, looked at Asuma who landed, and raised his eyebrows with a smile. I underestimated you. Asuma gritted his teeth, a little embarrassed, rushed up to Shiratori and kicked again, but missed again. This time, Shiratori teleported back 5 meters, still with that familiar smile, still with that familiar raised eyebrow. I'm serious. Asuma didn't believe in evil, so the two sides fought and hid, playing a game of tag on the playground. Don't run. Haha. Stop. Haha. Arsehole, is that all you can do? Haha. Do you dare to fight head on? You're so slow. Didn't you eat breakfast? I ate. Why should I tell you? Don't get me wrong. Shiratori stood still, looking calmly at Asuma, who was panting 7 or 8 meters away, and calmly took out a rice ball from his arms. I didn't eat. He took a bite of the rice ball. Well, it tasted pretty good. Asuma was furious. Come on. Shiratori took another big bite, and because his mouth was full of food, he couldn't speak clearly. Attack me. I won't hide. That's what you said. Asuma rushed over again. This time, Shiratori did what he said, and really didn't dodge again, but it made Asuma's blood pressure rise again. Because he only stretched out one hand, the left hand that didn't hold the rice ball. Bang 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 bang. Asuma used the purest physical skills to launch a fierce attack on Shiratori, but Shiratori stood still without moving at all, and only used one left hand to push down and block, and resolved all of Asuma's attacks. Straight punches, palm pushes, knee strikes, flying kicks. Asuma's heart was getting heavier and heavier. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't break through the opponent's one hand. Where did this monster come from? Swish. This was the first time that Asuma took the initiative to retreat and opened up a full 10 meters of distance from Shiratori. He understood that there was an insurmountable gap between him and this monster by relying only on physical skills, and there was no possibility of winning at all. Seeing the opponent retreat, Shiratori had no intention of chasing, but just stuffed the last bit of rice ball into his mouth. Asuma took a deep breath, and then let out a long breath, as if he had spit out all his previous arrogance and contempt. Hey, be careful. This time. I'm really serious. You just said that. Shiratori swallowed the last bite of food, and twisted his joints a few times casually on the spot, after teasing the other party for so long. It was also a lesson for the other party's unreasonable attitude. He was ready to end this boring game. Hey, it turns out that there will be a day when I will be underestimated. Asuma laughed at himself, and then his expression gradually became serious. Shiratori lowered his shoulders, and was about to rush over to give Asuma a quick death, but found that the boy opposite him had already started to make hand seals. Ninjutsu. Shiratori stood up, and wanted to see what the other party's last resort was. Could it be that move? At this time, Asuma completed the last seal, fire style ash accumulation burning. The high temperature ash quickly enveloped Shiratori like clouds and mist, covering his figure in the blink of an eye. Sure enough, it's this move. Shiratori had no intention of dodging at all, but instead burst out amazing chakra all over his body, blowing the ash away from his body. Seeing his special move work, Asuma's face lit up with joy. He clenched his teeth heavily, rubbing the flint embedded in his teeth in advance, and a spark was produced. Then, it didn't light up. It seems to have failed. What a pity. Shiratori shook his head in the black smoke. It should have just been developed. Not good. His hair stood up instantly, and he quickly dodged sideways. Swish. The ash blade cut through the ash and passed by Shiratori. Shinichimonji. Asuma clenched two small chakra finger knives in his hands and broke through the smoke. The finger knives were wrapped in a layer of wind chakra, which was extremely sharp, but Asuma didn't seem to have a very high level of mastery of this move. He stumbled all over and even showed some signs of losing control. Hey, big brother. You almost stabbed your thigh with a knife just now. It's okay, I'm not afraid. You're not afraid, but I am. There are ashes from your cigarettes all around, and you can't see clearly from outside. If you die here without knowing why, won't the Sandaime scatter my ashes? At this time, outside, Hayato Fuma had no idea what was happening inside. He thought that the black smoke was just a trick, similar to a smoke bomb. Swish, another knife light came, but it only hit the ground in front of Shiratori. Shiratori was fine, but the chakra knife rebounded after hitting the ground and almost cut Asuma's wrist. That's enough. Shiratori finally couldn't help it. Are you trying to scam me? He rushed forward, condensed chakra in his right hand, and punched Asuma in the face at a speed that Asuma couldn't react at all. Bang! Teacher Hayato outside was still considering whether to enter the range of this smoke bomb to see, but a figure flew over his head, and a few teeth fell from above. Shiratori's figure walked out from the ashes, his hands still slowly forming seals. Asuma, who fell heavily to the ground over there, had a buzzing head, and subconsciously wanted to stand up, but saw a huge fireball with a diameter of several meters flying over his head. Fire style, great fireball jutsu. Boom! Exclamation mark. The explosion resounded through the sky. Feeling the heat wave coming from behind, Asuma, whose hair was slightly burnt, was so scared that he dared not move, and his whole body was stiff. Shiratori walked up to Asuma, looked down at him, expressionless. Now, don't you admit defeat, senior? Chapter 9. Thank you, uncle. It's lunch break time. All the students in the school came to the playground, eating their lunch boxes and watching the fun. The vice principal's nose was crooked with anger, and he pointed at the surroundings, and even his fingers were shaking. Sarutobi Mitsuka and Uchiha Yashiro didn't dare to answer at all. They nodded and bowed, and kept saying Smith Masai. Mitsuka is Asuma's eldest brother. He happened to be wandering around during the battle, so he was the first to rush to the scene of the crime. As for our uncle Yashiro, he was called by Setsuna to be scolded. What? Why didn't Setsuna come himself? Don't ask, I just can't bring myself to do it. Look how beautiful our campus environment was before, and now, it's all black cigarette ash. If you don't know, you would think that the students of our school are smoking in groups. I'll pay, put it on my account. Sarutobi Mitsuka patted his chest and promised. Look at this big hole, it destroyed the playground. I'll pay, put it on my elder Setsuna's account. Uchiha Yashiro patted his chest and promised. Look at those trees, they're all burnt. Put it on my account. The training equipment that was caught in the explosion. Put it on elder Setsuna's account. The glass in the teaching building that was shattered. Put it on my account. The students who were studying hard were scared and have psychological trauma. Put it on Setsuna. Wait, you have to pay for this too? You want to blackmail me, old man? In the middle of the playground, Shiratori and Asuma faced the sun, raised the stone pier above their heads with both hands, and stood in the sun as punishment. Shiratori was fine, just sweating a little, mainly from the sun, and even had the leisure to look around and wink at Moonlight Gale and others who were eating melons in the distance. Asuma was miserable, his whole body was soaked in sweat, and his body was shaking constantly. It seemed that he couldn't hold on for much longer. Hey, aren't you tired? Asuma, with a bruised face and nose, managed to squeeze out a sound, but because several teeth were knocked out by Shiratori, his voice was a little leaky. I'm not calling you hey, I'm calling. Never mind, this joke is too bad. Okay, Uchiha Shiratori, I know you. I heard that you are the strongest genius of the Uchiha clan, and your reputation is even higher than that guy Shisu. You dare to fight me after hearing about me? Did you just say Shisu? Uchiha Shisu, this name is as well known as Thunder, whether in the past life or this life. Shiratori has a deep impression of this name. Katamatsuki, Katamatsukami, the three most powerful illusions in the ninja world. Being as famous as the first two, it can be seen that Kotomatsukami is not in vain. In the clan, whenever people talk about themselves, they can't help but compare them with Shizu of the past, and the result is that every time they talk about themselves, they have a slight advantage. Unfortunately, Shiratori has never seen this rumored man. He rarely returns to the village, and every time he prefers to run to the Hokage. Well, Shizu. Asuma lowered the stone block he was holding high a little, and put it on his head. That guy follows Lord Tofu, and is stationed at the southeast camp of the Land of Fire. He's going to be back soon, to report on his duties. Hiss. No, my head hurts. The southeast camp is located in the southeastern border of the Land of Fire. Its main responsibility is to guard against the Land of Water and the Hidden Mist Village. The highest commander is the patriarch of the Akimichi clan, Konoha's senior ninja Akimichi Tofu. Speaking of which, Shizu's famous battle was against the Hidden Mist Village during the Third Shinobi World War. Just by relying on the name of Instant Body Shizu, AO, the senior ninja of the Hidden Mist Village, was scared to death. Asuma, you are the son of the Hokage. Do you know some inside information? For example, the estimated time for the start of the Shinobi World War. Asuma was no longer able to do it. He was completely exhausted and staggered in place, and it seemed that he was about to hit the ground. Snap. Shiratori reached out and held the stone pillar above Asuma's head steadily. Are you okay? Asuma collapsed to the ground, looking up to see Shiratori holding his stone pillar with one hand and his own stone pillar with the other hand, with a relaxed expression. What the hell is this monster? Question mark? This scene also happened to fall into the eyes of Sarutobi Suten and Uchiha Yashiro, who were walking over. Yashiro was fine, as he had known that this kid was abnormal, but Suten was more shocked. He looked at Shiratori, opened his mouth wide, and his face was full of disbelief. No wonder my father insisted that I come to see. He thought to himself. Little Shiratori, let's go. Yashiro said weakly. He was in a bad mood because of the crazy output of his former teacher and current vice principal. Sure enough, nothing good happened to anyone who was involved with this kid. Oh, I see. Shiratori, who knew that he had caused trouble, nodded obediently, put down the stone, and waved goodbye to Asuma and Suten. Please wait a moment. Shushin stopped the two of them. He looked at Shiratori, who was a little confused, and a warm smile appeared on his face. He said, I heard that you want to join a Jonin team. My name is Sarutobi Shushin. I hope you can consider it. Shiratori also responded with a polite smile. Thanks for the invitation. Next time for sure. He didn't want to have anything to do with the Sandaime. That old man is a jinx. Whoever touches him will be unlucky. 3 days later, the eastern suburbs of Konoha. Today is the day for Shiratori to report to the Jonin team. However, he shamelessly got lost. I know who I am, and I know what I want to do, but where the hell am I? Usually he only moves around the Uchiha clan and the ninja school, and he hasn't been to Konoha village properly. So, where is this? Training ground number 7. Training ground number 7. Don't we have a road sign in Konoha? Where did you spend the taxpayers' money? Shiratori was so angry, and the time for the assembly was about to come. Do you need help? A deep voice sounded from behind. Shiratori turned around and saw a burly, fierce-looking uncle walking towards him. He swallowed his saliva. This image makes people want to take out their wallets. Excuse me, how do I get to the number 7 training ground? No 7? The uncle stopped and looked up and down at Shiratori. What's wrong? Is there any problem? No, the number 7 training ground is in that direction. Come with me, I'll take you there. Shiratori showed a surprised look. There are still many good people in this world. Not only did he show me the way, he also took me there in person. Thank you, uncle. Thank you for your trouble. Shiratori bowed. Uncle? The burly uncle paused slightly, turned his back to Shiratori, and opened his mouth, but in the end he said nothing. I don't know if it was an illusion. Shiratori felt that this kind uncle seemed to have become a little depressed. Training ground number 7. Turning left and right, he finally came here, and Shiratori saw the girl kicking stones in the training ground out of boredom. The girl has a pair of rose-colored ruby-like eyes, and her chubby little face is pure and cute. Finally here, you're so slow, eh? The girl was about to complain when she saw the burly uncle, and then she saw Shiratori following behind the uncle. Wow. A new member. You are Uchiha Shiratori, right? The girl jumped in front of Shiratori, stretched out her hand, and her eyes smiled into a crescent. Hello, my name is Uchiha, your senior. Please give me your guidance. Hello, Senior Kurenai. Shiratori shook hands with Kurenai, and then said a little embarrassedly, I'm very sorry, Senior Kurenai, I accidentally got lost just now, so I'm so slow. By the way, thanks to this uncle for bringing me here. Uncle. Uchiha was stunned. First looked at Shiratori's serious expression, then looked at the expressionless sturdy figure standing next to Shiratori. Then the little girl laughed like crazy. Ha 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 ha. Ibiki, how many times have people mistaken you for an uncle? The muscles on Ibiki's face kept twitching, but he still stretched out his hand to Shiratori. Hello Shiratori, I'm Marino Ibiki, your teammate and senior. So from now on, please don't call me uncle. I'm only 11 years old. Shiratori, 11 years old? So embarrassing. To be honest, you look older than my unreliable dad. And with this image, no one would dare to bargain with you if you go out to collect protection fees. Chapter 10. Oil Woman's Iwi. The three kids in the training ground were chatting happily, while on a tree branch not far away, a mysterious man in sunglasses who was leading a team for the first time was still struggling with his self-introduction. I'm Shibuya Burame, your captain. From now on, please obey my command. Is it too stiff? Hello everyone. My name is Shibuya Burame, and I will be your team leader from now on. Please take care of me. It seems a little not serious enough. If that's the case, what about this sentence? Too difficult. This is too difficult. Shibuya Burame held his head and looked up at the sky, on the verge of collapse. I should not have agreed to this job if I had known. He took out a crumpled piece of paper, which was full of some precautions for becoming a team leader, signed by Minato Namikaze. Minato said that we must not only get along with everyone happily and become close friends with the team members, but also show our strength and majesty so that they will obey orders unconditionally during the operation. So, how exactly should we do it? At this time, Uchiha-no's voice came intermittently, as if wondering why the team leader had not arrived yet. No matter what, we must go. We can't be late on the first day. Burame Shiwari took a deep breath, patted her chest, and rushed out of the woods with the help of branches. Finally, she did a graceful somersault and landed in front of everyone. Wow. Uchiha-no was startled, and Ibiki also trembled a little, but Shiratori was not too surprised. He had already discovered that there was a person hiding in the woods. Hello everyone, I'm Uchiha-no Shiwari. Shiwari lowered his head, looking at everyone in a self-proclaimed friendly manner, and then forgot the words. Damn, what should I say next? There was an awkward silence. Uchiha-no moved towards Ibiki with some fear, at a loss. Shiratori's mouth twitched. It's no wonder that Uchiha-no was a little scared. At this moment, Burame Shiwari's entire face was covered in a dark hood, and the only eye left outside was covered by sunglasses. He looked more like a terrorist than a leading jonin. Well, he was a taciturn terrorist. It seemed that he would pull out a knife and stab them if they disagreed. There was no room for negotiation. Shiratori knew that he had to say something. Hello, Mr. Shiwari, my name is Uchiha Shiratori. Hello. You are Uchiha Shiratori. I have heard of you, a genius ninja of the Uchiha clan. I'm honored to be your captain. Ha ha. Shiratori. Sure enough, he is a patient with severe social phobia. After Shiratori's reminder, Hang and Ibiki also woke up, as if from a dream, and hurriedly greeted Shiwari. Burame Shiwari responded awkwardly, while scratching his head. He didn't feel like the captain of this team, but a small employee who was being encouraged by the company leader. Thank you very much for your welcome. Are you hungry? The teacher will treat you to barbecue. What dignity in showing strength. At this moment, Burame Shiwari threw all these behind his mind. Let's get through this disaster first. So the few people who met on the first day went straight to the barbecue restaurant. 3 hours later, In the number 7 training ground, Shiratori and the other two stood in a row, and in front of them was a Burame Shui, who exuded a cold aura. After half a day of getting along and a barbecue, a Burame Shui has regained his composure and regained his dignity as a jonin. He looks a lot more relaxed. Of course, his wallet has also relaxed. He glanced at Shiratori without leaving a trace. I didn't expect that this seemingly youngest child would have such a terrible appetite. He spent half of his wallet in one meal. Burp, Shiratori burped, and then felt a hidden gaze. What's wrong, Teacher Ziwi? Nothing. Everyone is full, right? The three nodded. Okay, next. Ziwi took out a string of bells and said slowly, let me see everyone's strength. Bells? Yuhi Kurenai tilted her head, a little puzzled. How can this thing test strength? Shiratori narrowed her eyes. This thing, why do I seem to have seen it somewhere? Let me explain. Ziwi tried to recall what Namake's Minato told him, and introduced the rules of the game to everyone. Shiratori suddenly realized this is not the ancestral test of grabbing bells in Sarutobi Hiruzen's lineage. In this case, the next step is, the rules are very simple. Everyone should have understood it, but I would like to ask everyone to pay attention to one thing. I only have 2 bells in my hand. Sure enough, it's still a familiar formula. That is to say, only 2 people can grab the bells. As for the one without a bell, here it comes, the classic elimination of one person and retraining. The one without a bell can only ask you, go on. Although I already know what you are going to say. Please, isn't it just sending them back to the ninja school? Please be responsible for cleaning the training ground from now on. It is indeed to cultivate team cohesion. Shiratori. No, big brother, you are not right. This is different from what I heard. How can you privately tamper with the punishment mechanism? Exclamation mark. After saying so much, it's just cleaning the training ground. Shiratori, do you have any questions? Noticing Shiratori's dazed expression, Ziwi asked kindly. No. Okay, then you study the tactics, and we will start in 5 minutes. After saying that, a Burame Ziwi stepped aside and gave the place to the 3 team members. Shiratori and the other 2 gathered together and began to discuss. To be honest, although Ibiki looks mature, she is actually the same age as Han. She graduated from the ninja school at the age of 9 and is only 11 years old now. She is still young and has not participated in many decent battles. Shiratori's mental age is not young, but unfortunately he had never experienced an organized fight in his previous life, so it is obviously unrealistic to expect him to come up with any constructive suggestions. As a result, the 3 of them discussed and discussed, but they could not come up with any conclusion. In the end, it was Shiratori who made the final decision. Shiratori, let's just attack. Ibiki, I think it's okay. Han, I agree. So the 3 of them unanimously decided to adopt an extremely complicated tactic, rush forward. The tactic was decided, but Shiratori kept sighing in his heart. Facing a Burame Shui, he didn't think there was any chance of his side winning. When he chose to lead the team of Jonin, he took a fancy to the future chief of the Burame clan at first sight. His personal strength is absolutely beyond doubt, and the key is that his brain is still working well. In the original work, a Burame Shui's maturity and stability left a deep impression on Shiratori. This big guy's appearance rate is not high, but whenever he appears, he is basically a highlight, whether in the extra chapter of the Lost Tower, or in several major events in Konoha. Shiratori even has a bold guess. A Burame Shui may be one of the only 2 ninjas who have the ability to command large-scale battles in the era of Konoha's post-3rd generation. The other one is Narashikaku. As for the remaining commanders, Orochimaru is undisputed, but unfortunately he defected. Danzo is also undisputed, but unfortunately he is just a dog, killing 1,000 enemies, and then killing 1,000 of himself, full of loyalty and dedication, but in the end, he did those crappy things, more like an undercover than an undercover. Who wants to use him? Who dares to use him? In addition to personal ability, there is another point that Shiratori also sees. That is, after the sacrifice of the 4th generation, the situation of a Burame Shui and even the Burame clan seems to be not very good. After the Ninetales rebellion, it seems that they were the only ones who were moved to the edge of the village with the Uchiha clan. Is it because they are too close to the 4th generation Hokage Minato Namikaze? Who knows? Anyway, if you want to find allies for the isolated Uchiha, the Aburame clan is definitely a name that cannot be avoided. Chapter 11. What is art? Aburame Shiwari stood leisurely in the middle of the training ground, facing the 3 Shiratori members who were already not far away. Looking at the 3 team members lined up in a row, Shiwari showed a look of as expected. It seems that there is no strategy. He nodded, but he didn't blame them too much in his heart. After all, it was the first day of the team, and it was reasonable that there was no tacit understanding and cooperation between them. Are you ready? Ready, Teacher Shiwari. Well, let's start. As soon as the voice fell, Hong rushed out first, which surprised Shiratori. Is he so irritable? As a ninja of illusion, a back row who is good at playing tricks on people, why does he have to do the work of a front row warrior? It can only be said that he is worthy of being a warrior who dares to fight with Itachi in illusion. Shiwari stood there without moving at all, watching Han rushing to him, and just slightly sideways, he avoided the kunai thrust. Then came Ibiki, who also took out a kunai and slashed at Shiwari's chest, but for this man who looked older than himself, Shiwari was not so polite. Bang! Ibiki's wrist was pinched by the opponent, and then thrown to the side. The poor uncle immediately turned into a rolling gourd, rolling on the ground for 7 or 8 times, before getting up in a mess. Shiwari cast his eyes on the last Shiratori. Shiratori scratched his head, and did not move forward, but just started to move in circles around Shiwari. Are you kidding? Shiratori did not think that his frontal physical skills could fight against an elite Jonin, even if he had the Sharingan and the physique of the Senju clan. No matter how talented he is, this body is only 7 years old. Looking at Shiratori circling around him, Shiwari's face showed surprise, although Shiratori could not see the expression of this terrorist at all. Don't be impatient, it's interesting. At this time, Ibiki, who sneaked up, wanted to attack from the side and back. Shiwari turned his head without even turning around, and kicked Ibiki 7 or 8 meters away. On the other side, Hong was running, while making hand seals, trying to look into Shiwari's eyes behind his sunglasses. Illusion. Shiwari's response was also very simple. He chose to raise his head high, and didn't even look into Hong's eyes. Huh? Can it be like this? Hong was a little at a loss. He was forced to stop making a half-made hand seal and stood there, neither advancing nor retreating. Now, seizing the opportunity, when Shiwari looked up, Shiratori, who had been wandering outside the battlefield, finally made a move. He held the kunai with his backhand, and the blue lightning immediately drew Shiwari's sight back here. Thunderblade. Shiwari jumped into the air. Although his movements were a little hurried, he still dodged the attack by a hair's breadth, and the kunai flashing with lightning fiercely stabbed into the ground, where Shiwari had just stood. Good timing. If you can increase the speed a little more, Shiwari in the air praised, but before he finished speaking, he saw Shiratori had already decisively thrown away the kunai, and the action of forming seals with both hands almost formed an afterimage. This is my killer move, Teacher Shiwari. Fire style great fireball technique. The blazing flames condensed into a fireball with a diameter of several meters, and flew quickly towards Shiwari, who had nowhere to land in the air. There was no escape. Feeling the oncoming heat wave, Shiwari's expression became more and more satisfied. But if you want to defeat me, these are far from enough. Come on stage. Parasite. With a buzzing sound, thick black smoke suddenly filled Shiwari's body. If you look closely, you will find that this is not black smoke at all, but dense, overwhelming insects. Seeing this scene, Hong and Ibiki, who had just climbed up, turned pale. It is not clear how harmful this thing is, but the mental stimulation is really high. So disgusting. Han couldn't help but say. Hearing this, Shiwari, who was disliked by his teammates, became a little autistic, but he did not stop. Countless parasites rushed towards the fireball. They did not choose to collide head-on, but quickly surrounded the surface of the fireball and began to absorb chakra. However, in the blink of an eye, the fireball, which had just flown halfway, was reduced in size by half, because the fire chakra that made up it was sucked away. Seeing this scene, Shiratori did not panic, but uttered a word. Explode. Boom. The fireball exploded. The first to bear the brunt was the parasite army. The shock wave of the explosion spread in all directions, completely breaking up their formation. At the same time, the high temperature flames ignited their bodies, turning them into charred dust and falling from the air. Aburame was also caught off guard by this sudden scene. He had nowhere to rely on in the air and was blown away by the aftermath of the explosion. When he landed, he stumbled and almost lost his balance. As expected of a genius of the Uchiha clan, he looked at Shiratori. The astonishment in his eyes almost radiated through the blocking of sunglasses. Shiratori rubbed his nose and smiled shyly. Deidara, the famous demolition boss in the ninja world, once said that art is explosion. Shiratori deeply agrees with this. The main killing method of fire escape is to burn the enemy. On this basis, everyone has some understanding of it. Some choose to increase the form change, some choose to increase the killing range, and some will try every means to increase the temperature of the flame. As a descendant of the blood of Uchiha and Senju, Shiratori's chakra control ability and chakra amount are both good, so what he chooses is compression. Every time he releases a basic form of fire escape ninjutsu, such as the Great Fireball, Phoenix Fire, etc., he will choose to extract more chakra and rely on the Uchiha clan's natural fine control of chakra to compress the escape technique as much as possible, and then at the moment of contact with the enemy, or under his own precise control, produce an explosion. The power of the fire escape ninjutsu with the explosion item will increase significantly. In addition to the burning flames, the enemy will also be baptized by the flame shockwave. Well, when I bullied Asuma in the graduation exam before, the glass of the teaching building was lost like this. Setsuna, my money was also lost like this. Let's get back to the point. Zui pushed his sunglasses and felt a little tricky. It's not that Shiratori's strength has reached the level that can threaten him, an elite jonin. Shiratori is very strong, especially considering that he is only 7 years old. It can be said to be ridiculously strong. Even if he is fighting against a senior chunin, with his strength, he will definitely make the opponent flustered. But it is still not enough to defeat Aburame Zui. Zui has made up his mind to only defend and not attack. If conditions permit, he doesn't even want to move. He just stands there and lightly blocks all the attacks of the three little ones, showing his status as a leading jonin to the maximum extent. However, Shiratori's fire escape is really unreasonable. If he just stands there and acts as a target, there is a slight risk of overturning. It seems that we have to show some real strength. Zui put his hands together, and his eyes behind the sunglasses became a little serious. Secret insect storm. But countless parasitic insects flew out from all parts of Zui's body, like a black smoke that exploded, covering his figure, and then quickly enveloped the surroundings, covering half of the training ground in the blink of an eye. Looking at the black army of insects, Yuhi Kuno's face became paler and paler. For a little girl, the scene in front of her was too terrifying. Ibiki was also sweating, but he still maintained the most basic judgment. He pulled Yuhi Kuno aside and looked at Shiratori with encouraging eyes. He was not a ninja who was good at frontal combat. Through the battle just now, he understood one thing: Shiratori is a monster. All they can do is give the ball to, no, give the field to the strongest player and run to the side and shout 666. Remember not to cause trouble for the big brother. Hero, uncle, I believe in you. Facing Ibiki's shining eyes, Shiratori rolled his eyes and then looked at the black fog in front of him with a serious look. Teacher Zui, you really think highly of me? Chapter 12. Aburame Zui is shocked. Can you still blow up the training ground? How to kill tiny bugs? Even someone as strong as Saitama was at his wit's end. He almost demolished half of the apartment, but still couldn't solve the problem. And there were so many of them. With a flash of red in his eyes, Shiratori decisively activated his Sharingan. Two Magatama in each eye, spun around his pupils frantically, trying to capture the movement of each bug and find the location of Zui. But the results were minimal. There were just too many bugs. Shiratori still didn't dare to rashly enter the range of Insect Storm, because these parasitic bugs have the ability to absorb chakra. Even if his current total chakra amount is close to the level of a special jonin, it will probably be sucked dry in a few breaths. He lay on the ground and began to rest peacefully. I forgot to say it just now. Zui's voice sounded, but it was a little unclear in the buzzing sound of the parasitic bug's wings. If you can't grab the bell within half an hour, then the three of you will be collectively judged as losers and stay here to clean up together, so there is no use delaying time. Teacher Zui, why didn't you say it just now? Haha, sorry, I forgot, sorry. Found you. Through the sound, Shiratori finally determined Zuo's position. Fire escape. The scholar Sharingan stared at the direction where the sound came from. Shiratori quickly formed seals with both hands, and the number of seals was obviously more than the previous fireball. Great dragon fire technique. Shiratori spewed out a blazing flame from his mouth, condensing into a ferocious dragon head in the air, and rushed towards the army of parasitic bugs with an indomitable momentum. This is. Feeling the blazing heat that burned everything, Zui was extremely shocked. Is this really a ninjutsu that a genin can release? He controlled the parasitic bugs to take the initiative to attack and rolled towards the dragon chief. But it missed. The dragon fire technique was not aimed at the parasitic bugs at all, but at the ground. Boom! Exclamation mark. Dust flew up, and the expected explosion did not happen at all. The dragon fire technique drilled directly into the ground. Zui, who was protected by the parasitic bugs, lowered his head and seemed to have noticed something. It's really amazing. He quickly took a big step back, and there was a loud bang. The dragon head condensed by flame successfully bypassed the parasitic bugs by drilling into the ground, broke out of the ground under his feet, and flew into the air almost brushing his nose. The army of parasitic bugs that failed to catch the dragon the first time would not miss the second chance. They wrapped around the dragon head like a whirlwind, but what greeted them was still a familiar smell. Explode! Shiratori shouted, releasing the control of the highly concentrated chakra in the Heolan fire. The ferocious fire dragon burst out with dazzling flames from the inside. Boom! Exclamation mark. Like a gorgeous firework, the extremely hot flames accompanied by a huge shockwave swept through the army of parasites, as if a second sun rose here. The light of the fireworks illuminated everyone's face. Uchiha and Ibiki subconsciously began to retreat until their backs hit the big tree at the edge of the training ground. They stared at Shiratori with horror, as if they were looking at some rare and exotic animals. Master, what do? You can't be a genin, right? Shiratori didn't have time to care about the psychological activities of the two, but just stared at the front. The black and red raindrops fell densely, blocking his sight. Those were the bodies of the parasites, some of which were already charred, while others were burning violently. Suddenly, a perfectly intact parasitic bug flew through the rain of insect corpses, followed by the second, third, and fourth mystic bug storm. It was still the calm voice of Aburame Zui. The army of parasitic bugs regrouped and turned into a storm to blow away the corpses of their companions. The black smoke occupied Shiratori's sight again. Shiratori's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. At this time, 4 big words lingered in his mind. No martial ethics. How can I play with your unlimited ammunition? It was a close call, Shiratori-san. Zui's voice was a little emotional. With such a monster in the team, his job as a jonin would not be easy. Yeah. Shiratori took a deep breath, knowing that he had to sweep the training ground today. But admitting defeat like this, I still can't bear it. So he made a major decision, of course. Before that, he still had to clear himself of responsibility. Teacher Zui, if the training ground is destroyed, do we need to pay for it? Aburame Zui's heartbeat suddenly skipped a beat, as if something bad was about to happen. He thought about it, and felt that he was too worried, so he said, of course not, you are only responsible for cleaning, and the cost of repairing the training ground will be charged to the teacher's account. What's wrong? Are you going to admit defeat? How much does it cost to repair a training ground? Can I rebuild one? Hahaha, impossible. That's good. Shiratori slowly grinned, revealing an innocent smile. Teacher Zui, the next one is my last ninjutsu, and I may not be able to fight again after this. Zui felt that his head was full of question marks. That just now, wasn't it your last resort? How much chakra do you have? That extremely compressed great dragon fire technique would drain the chakra of a chunin instantly, right? You're only 7 years old. You're not the reincarnation of Uchiha Madara, are you? Shiratori is certainly not the reincarnation of Uchiha Madara, but the next move is indeed greatly influenced by Madara, Great Fire Extinguishment. This is the strongest fire escape that Shiratori has mastered so far. Although it is only merely B level, this B level is just its learning difficulty. If you consider the killing range and chakra consumption, it is definitely A level, or even higher. Even for Shiratori, a genius who cannot judge by common sense, a full strength Great Fire Extinguishment will drain about 70% of his chakra. C. Wu, Shen, Hei, Z, Chen, Yin. As the seals were made, the chakra in Shiratori's body surged and boiled. When the last tiger seal was made, Shiratori took a deep breath, and even his chest swelled up. Fire-style Great Fire Extinguishment. In an instant, the waves of fire rolled up and covered the sky. Aburame Shinui widened his eyes. No matter up, down, left, right, or any way he looked, there were rolling waves of flames. He looked at the raging torrent of flames that burned everything, and it hit him fiercely like a collapsed city wall, with a face full of disbelief. Aburame Shinui, Uchiha Setsuna Experience Card +1. Secret Technique. He half knelt on the ground and slapped the ground heavily with both hands. Insect Wall Technique. Shiratori finally forced out Aburame Shinjui's second secret technique. The army of parasitic insects shrank inwards while spinning rapidly. They tried to protect Aburame Shinjui inside, and then collided with the raging waves of Great Fire Extinguishment. Boom. Hang and Ibiki, who had retreated to the woods, were so scared that their legs went limp. They covered their ears with their hands. Even though their eyes were red from the heat, they didn't want to miss this shocking scene that was like a prairie fire. They were numb. They even had deep doubts about whether they could become an excellent ninja. Then they saw Shiratori, who had spit out the last mouthful of fire, trying to hold back the dizziness, put his index and middle fingers together to form a cross. Shadow clone technique. An identical Shiratori appeared next to the original. They felt even more numb. No way. You still have chakra to cast a shadow clone! Exclamation mark. The shadow clone Shiratori rushed into the sea of fire with a kunai in hand, and the faint lightning flashing on the kunai split the flames close to him. Well, this guy can not only cast a shadow clone, but can even use the thunderblade again. Watching the shadow clone start to move, Shiratori counted 3 numbers in his mind, and followed into the sea of fire. 1 step, 2 steps. Shiratori looked to the left in front, and his shadow clone had already found the location of Aburame Shinjui. At this time, Aburame Shinjui was holding his knees and breathing heavily. There were only a dozen parasites left around him. He was shocked when he saw Shiratori. He barely dodged a move of Thunder Fang Blade by turning sideways, and then kicked out. Bang! Shiratori turned into white smoke and dissipated. Shadow clone. Aburame Shinjui's tone was no longer as calm as before, and at this time, the real Shiratori also rushed over while the shadow clone was diverting Shinjui's attention. He looked at Shinjui, who was unstable and unable to do it after the kick, and decisively took action. Got it. Shiratori grabbed the belt tied to the other part his waist, and was about to cheer, but saw Aburame Shinjui smiled slightly, and also turned into white smoke. Damn. Shadow clone. With a snap, Shiratori, who had already exhausted himself, fell to the ground. In the last moment before he fainted, he raised his head and looked into the distance, as if he had sensed something. At the edge of the training ground, Aburame Shinjui, who was neat and tidy, stood on a tree branch. His terrorist-like appearance made it impossible to judge his expression at the moment, but he could be seen giving Shiratori a thumbs up. Shiratori. He also had the urge to give a thumbs up, the kind with the thumbs pointing down. Chapter 13. Doesn't this guy Shiratori have any weaknesses? The sky was turning pale, and Konoha village was about to welcome another ordinary morning. And our young master Asuma, with 2 dark circles under his eyes, had been squatting at the door of the Zahi family for nearly an hour. I don't believe it. I won't meet her this time. Asuma gritted his teeth. In the past 3 days, Asuma would come to the door of Zahi's house, wanting to have an extremely wonderful unexpected encounter with his beloved classmate Hong, but every day, he would foolishly stroll on the street in front of the door for a whole morning. It shouldn't be like this. Why does Han go out so early every day? Asuma wanted to ask Hang's father Zahizen Hang, but his courage decisively rejected the suggestion of his brain. So he thought of a stupid way. At 3 o'clock in the morning, Asuma resisted the sleepiness, sneaked out of the house, and went straight to Zahi's house. During the period, he was blocked by patrolling and ninjas 3 times. If it weren't for his famous face, he would have been taken back for interrogation. Time goes back to the present. Just when Asuma was about to fall asleep, the door of Zahi's house was pushed open with a creak. Hearing the sound, Asuma jumped up as if by reflex. Who? Zahi Hang was startled and quickly put her right hand on the ninja bag. That? Hang, it's me. Asuma rubbed his eyes, trying to squeeze out a smile that he thought was sunny and cheerful, and said, "What a coincidence, you are going out too?" Asuma? Hang was stunned. She looked at Asuma with a silly smile, and said with a suspicious tone, "What are you doing at my door so early?" I couldn't sleep, so I thought of going shopping. Yes, it's shopping. I didn't come to you on purpose. Shopping? Hang first glanced at the street in front of the door, quiet and empty. All the shops were closed, and even the stray dogs were not awake at this time. She stared at Asuma's face expressionlessly. Asuma felt uncomfortable being stared at, and his expression became more and more embarrassed. PFFT. Kurenoi couldn't help laughing after all. Her eyes narrowed into beautiful crescents. What's wrong? Asuma blushed, and had the urge to turn around and run away. Asuma, do you have time? Come with me to the training ground. Ah, okay. I just happen to have nothing to do right now. Aren't you shopping? I. Kurenoi shook her head and walked towards the training ground. Asuma also reacted and followed behind her. Kurenoi, why are you going to the training ground so early? Of course I'm going to train. Are you going on a picnic? But your strength is already very strong. Although I can't compare with that guy Kakashi, but when I graduated, my dad, the 3rd Hokage, said that you will definitely become a Jonin in the future. Very strong. Kurenoi thought of the test a few days ago. She and Ibiki were just spectators the entire time and couldn't help at all. Not only did they not help Shiratori enough, they even seemed to be a drag. Compared to Shiratori, I'm still far behind. Hang's voice was a little lonely. What? Shiratori? As if some keywords were triggered, Asuma jumped up. Did he bully you? Just wait, I'll go and vent your anger. No. Shiratori is a very nice person. Yuhi Hang rolled his eyes at Asuma, and I remember that Shiratori's exam for early graduation was against you, and the result of the battle seemed to be, well, that, accidents, all accidents. I was careless, because I thought he was young. By the way, how did you know? Did Shiratori say that? It wasn't Shiratori. I ran into Lin when I went to buy ninja tools yesterday, and Lin told me. Asuma wished he could find a hole in the ground to crawl into. Damn it. Has everyone in Konoha known about such an embarrassing thing? Exclamation mark. Asuma, how do you think Shiratori's strength compares to Kakashi? The 7-year-old Kakashi back then? No, it's the current Kakashi. Asuma scratched his head and said in some distress, it's hard to say. When I fought Shiratori, Asuma suppressed his embarrassment and roughly described the process of fighting with Shiratori. That's it. His taijutsu is very strong, so strong that it makes people despair. I think the only one who can beat him with taijutsu alone is K. As for ninjutsu, until the end of the battle, he only released a huge fireball. Although it was very powerful, I think he must have used up all his chakra to use it. Maybe his total chakra is not much. Hang, what's the look in your eyes? Hang had stopped and stared at Asuma in a daze, and said slowly, you said, he is very good at taijutsu? Hang recalled that, when he fought with teacher Iwai, it seemed that, because of the parasitic bug, Shiratori had no chance to use taijutsu at close range. Yeah, what's wrong? You said his ninjutsu is average and his chakra capacity is not good. I think so. But, Hang told Asuma about the duel between Shiratori and Iwai, detailing every detail. After Hang finished speaking, the two stood there in a daze. Strong physical skills, fast speed, proficient in ninjutsu, with an incredible amount of chakra, and a fire escape that flattened the entire training ground. Is this a human? Are you sure he is only 7 years old? Doesn't this guy have weaknesses? Han suddenly didn't want to train anymore. She felt that she should give up becoming a ninja. This path didn't seem to be suitable for her. And Asuma had only one thought in his mind. Thank the boss for showing mercy. I should thank Mr. Zui for showing mercy. I was fooled from the beginning to the end, and all the opportunities were illusions. In the courtyard of Uchiha Setsuna's mansion, Shiratori was training hard while constantly muttering. Even in the end, the one who fought against me was a shadow clone. When exactly? Yes, it must have been after the explosion of the Heolonghuo, because the shadow clone cannot release the parasitic bug. If it was a bug clone, my Sharingan should be able to see through it. Uchiha Setsuna walked into the courtyard with a messy head of white hair and a face full of grumpiness. He now has only one thought: the future of Uchiha and his own disciples are not important. He just wants to beat this stinky brat to death. 3 days. 3 whole days. He shouldn't have agreed to let Shiratori stay here. Are you deliberately torturing me? The real grandson Tingmu over there was also woken up, but after going out angrily to look around, he pretended nothing happened and went back. I can't afford to offend you. I can't afford to offend you. Just be woken up by the noise, don't talk nonsense, and don't get beaten up again. I said. You seem very dissatisfied with losing to a Burame Shui. Setsuna walked to the lounge chair in the courtyard, subconsciously preparing to bask in the sun for a while, but when he looked up, he saw the moonlit sky above his head. He immediately felt worse. It's not that I feel uncomfortable. Well, it's a little bit. Shiratori stopped what he was doing, panting slightly. You don't really want to defeat a Burame Shui, do you? It's not that I look down on you. In Konoha, except for the Hokage, the 3 ninjas and Namikaze Minato, who dares to say that they can defeat a Burame Shui steadily? Even if it's me, I can still do it. Although I don't think I can defeat a Burame Shui 100%, I can't lose my momentum in front of my apprentice. I don't want to defeat him, I just don't want to lose too badly, especially being crushed in both strength and brain power. Then practice hard. Zui is a real talent. You can learn a lot from him. In another 10 years, you might even dare to fight the 5 cage. 5 cage. Shiratori was silent. If he could open the manger key, he would have the confidence. But the conditions for opening the manger key, he didn't dare to think about it, because if he opened the manger key, it would mean that someone he cherished would leave him. By the way, are you going to carry out the mission? Yes, in 2 days, there will be a mission to escort Shizhan to the border camp. Have you thought about it? Are you sure you want to go? Why not? This is my first mission. Are you not afraid of danger? What dangers can there be in such a mission? What if I tell you, now that after the intelligence team's speculation and analysis, the full-scale war in the ninja world will break out in as little as half a month, or as long as 2 months? Shiratori opened his mouth wide. Although he knew that the third ninja world war would definitely happen, he still felt a little surprised when he heard the news. In both his past and present lives, he had never experienced war. Calculate the time. When you arrive at the front line, the war may have already broken out. Your team should be incorporated into the border corps on the spot and will not return to Konoha in the short term. Shiratori remained silent. You are a genius and the hope of our clan, but you are too young. The time for you to step onto the stage should not be now. If you agree, I will apply to the Hokage. I will go. What did you say? Setsuna's expression showed no joy or anger. I said, I will go. I'm willing to go to the battlefield. Shiratori clenched his fists. I'm sorry to all the senior time travelers. Although the word cowardly is now in vulgarity and the truth is to grow up in a wretched way, I still want to be impulsive once. He is not a person who keeps to himself. He doesn't want to live his life in accordance with the rules again, after living a new life. Moreover, the future situation and disasters of the Uchiha clan also doomed him to not have a stable life. Perhaps it was the arrogance and madness in the bones of the Uchiha that affected him. Now Shiratori wants to see the real battlefield, to see the real hell. Don't you need to discuss it with that bastard Fengyu? No, he won't agree. Are you sure you want to go? I'm sure. Don't rush to give me an answer. I'll take you to a place after daybreak, and it won't be too late to make a decision later. I'll go back to catch up on my sleep first. Setsuna stood up and walked into the house without looking back. After closing the door, a faint smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "Hey, old man, don't say half the words. Where is it?" Shiratori asked loudly. Setsuna's unclear voice came from behind the door. "The tortured apartment, and the execution ground. Boss, if you have any extra tickets, can you? Chapter 14. The first mission of a ninja career. 2 days later, at the main gate of Konoha village. When Shiratori arrived late with a haggard look on his face, everyone was shocked. "I say, are you okay?" Asuma looked at Shiratori's kidney-deficient face and felt a little strange. "What have you been doing these 2 days?" "Nothing, insomnia." Shiratori stretched out his hands and rubbed his face vigorously, trying to make himself energetic. The task of escorting supplies this time was carried out by 4 teams. In addition to the leader of his team, Aburame Shiwari, the other 3 Jonins were Sarutobi Suten, who had met before, a Jonin from the Akimichi clan, and a Jonin from the Hyuga clan. The captain of this mission was Sarutobi Suten. Shiratori didn't know the Jonin of the Hyuga clan, but he had heard of the Jonin of Akimichi, Akimichi Choza, the young patriarch of the Akimichi clan, the commander of the southeast camp, Akimichi Tokifune, an elite Jonin of the Hidden Leaf village, and also Asuma's leader. Come to think of it, if I hadn't intervened, Asuma and Kurenai would have joined the same team. Forget it, as the saying goes. Distance creates beauty. Maybe Asuma and Kurenai would have established their relationship earlier. He focused on the 4 Jonins, and as for the other team members, Shiratori just glanced at them casually, and no longer cared about them. Wait. Did something strange just flash by? Shiratori paused, scanned again, and then fixed his eyes behind Sarutobi Suten. Shiratori. No, what the hell is this hairstyle of yours? I've only heard of people combing their hair to look like adults, but this is the first time I've seen someone comb their hair to look like Patrick Star, and it's pink hair. Are you afraid that no one will pay attention to you on the battlefield? Do you think you're dying too slowly? What's the difference between this and running naked on the battlefield to provoke? If a fight breaks out, I'll definitely stay away from you. Feeling Shiratori's ambiguous gaze, the Chunin with a non-mainstream hairstyle behind Suten shuddered. Ahem, Shiratori, everyone is waiting for you. Aburame Shiwari coughed lightly. Oh sorry. Shiratori hurried back to the team, but his mind was still thinking about the non-mainstream just now. This guy. Why do I seem to have seen it somewhere? Everyone is here. Let me tell you about the task process. Sarutobi Suten glared at Asuma, who still wanted to talk to Shiratori, and saw that the other party was reluctant to shut up under the threat of his eyes, so he started to introduce it to everyone. The task that required 4 ninja teams to complete this time was to escort the second batch of supplies needed by the front line to the southeast camp. The mission deadline was within 7 days. The supplies included food, medicine, ninja tools, and some ninja family letters. Unlike the long team of ox carts, horse carts and even carts that Shiratori imagined, all the supplies were sealed in scrolls, and a large number of scrolls were neatly stacked in boxes, which needed to be carried by them personally. This saved manpower and material resources and greatly shortened the time, but it challenged everyone, especially the physical strength of the genin. Each wooden box weighed 40 kilograms. Of course, this is still relatively easy for Shiratori, because since the age of 3, Senju Takaichi has asked Shiratori to carry huge solid wood or even stones for weight training. Thinking carefully, he is also very carefree, not afraid that his grandson will be underdeveloped and not grow tall. After saying this, Sarutobi Suten commanded everyone to carry wooden boxes and set off in the direction of the southeast camp. The escort team was led by the Hyuga clan's junior ninja as the spearhead, responsible for leading the way and reconnaissance, Shiko's squad on the left, and the Choza squad on the right, while Sarutobi Suten, as the captain, sat in the rear, ready to support and command the battle at any time. In this way, the group headed southeast. Time came 5 days later. The ninja world is much larger than Shiratori imagined. Taking the backbone of all forces, the Chunin, as an example, it takes at least 7 days for a Chunin to cross the Land of Fire at full speed. Konoha village is roughly located in the center of the Land of Fire, and it takes at least 3 days. to reach any border from Konoha village, and that if the journey is smooth and there are no emergencies. Even a chunin is like this, let alone a genin. Especially since genin have to carry heavy objects and cross country. The 7-day mission deadline is really cruel. Just look at the dead dog next to him. I can't do it anymore. Finally, it was time to rest. Asuma threw away the box and collapsed to the ground, his tongue still sticking out of his mouth. Tired, Shiratori sat next to Asuma and raised his eyebrows at him, looking very mean. What do you think? Don't talk to me, let me rest for a while. Do you need help? Call me brother Shiratori, and I will help you. You're dreaming. Asuma stretched out his hand to Shiratori and made a universal friendly gesture. Brother Shiratori, please drink some water. Yuhi Kurenoi handed the water bottle to Shiratori. Brother Shiratori, please eat. Ibiki took out a bag of military ration pills. Seeing Kurenoi being so attentive to Shiratori, Asuma's eyes were blazing, and in the end he could only snort weakly. There is no way, this guy's too abnormal. Along the way, Shiratori carried his own box on his back and hung Hung's box on his right shoulder. His free left hand was still helping Ibiki hold the box on his back. A living beast. My donkey is not as capable as you. Asuma felt that his 3 views were overturned. He knew that this guy had a strong physical fitness, but he didn't expect it to be so outrageous. Shiratori took the water bottle with a smile and then declined the soldier's grain pills made by Ibiki himself. He had eaten this thing once 3 days ago and felt that his taste buds had suffered a devastating blow. He didn't know what shit tasted like, but he thought it shouldn't be much worse than this thing. Shiratori seriously suspected that these soldiers' grain pills were the byproducts that Ibiki accidentally tinkered with when studying poisons. But a black shadow flashed before his eyes. It was a special insect cultivated by a Buramziwi. It was extremely fast and was specially used for reconnaissance. A Buramziwi reached out to catch the insect and carefully felt the simple information sent by the insect. Something happened. He walked to the side of Shiratori Suten and said in a low voice, "What happened?" "There is something going on 5 kilometers to the northeast. My bug can only convey some simple information. It told me, blood, a lot of blood." Shiratori Suten turned his head and looked at the Hyuga clan's Jonin. Byakugan. The Hyuga clan's Jonin opened his Byakugan, but then shook his head and said helplessly, "Sorry, it's too far away. It's beyond the range of my Byakugan." "Then let's go and take a look." Shiratori Suten didn't hesitate at all. After gathering the team, he rushed to the scene of the accident. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15 Hell. Uchiha Shiratori once boasted in front of the old man that he wanted to see the real hell, but when hell really appeared in front of him, he still couldn't accept it. In the woods, corpses dressed in Konoha clothes were lying on the ground in all directions, with broken limbs everywhere, and several were nailed to tree trunks by ninja tools. The corpses were already highly decomposed, and the blood that flowed all over the ground had long dried up, mixed with the soil, to present a strange reddish-brown color, and the pungent corpse odor spread in the air. Ugh, the ninjas in the team, especially those Chunin and Genin, had never seen such a visually impactful scene, and they all bent down and vomited. Except for the 4 leading Jonin, only 2 people could barely keep calm at this moment. One of them was Shiratori. Before the mission, the old man took him to the interrogation department and the execution ground, and observed various cruel tortures and the execution of prisoners. He had almost vomited everything he should vomit at that time, and he also suffered from insomnia for a few days, so he looked like he had kidney deficiency on the day the team set out. The other one was Ibiki. He didn't go through the pre-war education like Shiratori, nor did he have a life on his hands like the other Jonins. He didn't vomit. It can only be said that he was gifted and had personal ability. The time of death should be more than 5 days. Shiratori Suten's face was also a little pale. He resisted the discomfort and turned over the clothes of the corpse with his hands, trying to find something to prove his identity. The clothes were already stuck to the body, and when he turned them hard, he could hear a clear and very vivid tearing sound. So those poor Chunin and Genin vomited even more happily. It should be the same supply transport team as us. Aburame Shiwei walked to Sutan's side, holding a broken wooden box in her hand. He found this wooden box in the bushes next to him. It was the same style as their box, but the scroll with supplies, sealed inside, had disappeared. Ziwei looked at the scene in front of him and asked, Shushan, do you know the departure time of the last team? I don't know. It's a secret mission. I have no right to ask, but I think it should be 7 to 10 days before we set off. That person. I know him. Ziwei pointed to a corpse not far away, with a sad tone. His name is Chunshin Yi, a Jonin, and he tattooed his name on the back of his hand. Shushan walked up to check, and sure enough, he found the name Chunshin Yi on the back of the corpse's hand. Jonin. Shushan looked around, counting the broken limbs. It seemed there were exactly 16 people, the same as his own team. In this way, there were also 4 Jonin in this annihilated transport team. Who or which force could wipe out a team with 4 Konoha Jonin without even spreading any news? Shushan, Ziwei, woo, come here. I think you should take a look at this. The voice of Akimichi Choza sounded from not far away. So Ziwei, Shushan, and the senior ninja named Hyuga Takashi came to Ding Zeduo's side. Following the direction of Ding Zeduo's finger, they saw a body that was cut into 2 pieces. This poor Konoha ninja seemed to be cut into 2 pieces by some huge ninja sword. The ninja sword cut into the left shoulder and cut out at the right waist. The cross section was extremely flat, dividing the whole body into 2. The most bizarre thing is that the blood of this corpse did not seem to flow out much, as if it was sucked by something. Beheading sword. Ziwei said his inference with a solemn face. This is the wound caused by the beheading sword of one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist. Beheading sword? Biwajuzo? Shushan exclaimed, with an incredible look on his face. Impossible. How could the 7 ninja swordsmen appear here and attack our transport team? This is an act of declaration of war. Shushan, based on the degree of decay, the time of sacrifice of these ninjas should be 5 days ago, right? Ding Zeduo suddenly asked. Yes. Logically, the southeast camp on the front line should have sent people to investigate and search along the route before the transport team arrived. But what happened? We should have been the first to find the bodies of this team exposed in the wilderness. The commander of the southeast camp is my father. I know him. He won't make such a low-level mistake. Ding Zeduo. No doubt. Ding Zeduo took a deep breath and said slowly, the front line may have had an accident. On the other side, Shiratori didn't know what the Jonin captains were studying. He and Ibaki just distributed the water bottles to the Chunins and Genins who were vomiting. Thank you. Asuma took the water bottle, rinsed his mouth, and his calves were still trembling. Han, are you okay? I'm fine. Asuma handed the water bottle back to Shiratori and asked with some admiration, Shiratori, you don't seem to be afraid? Afraid, but barely acceptable. Shiratori answered without blushing or panting, but thinking of the experience a few days ago. In the interrogation department, he saw with his own eyes that an interrogator inserted a red-hot iron rod into the spy's eyes, and he vomited on the spot. His image was not much better than that of Asuma now. That was not the end. Later, the old man Setsuna took him to the execution ground. In order to make him more impressed, Setsuna took the long knife from the executioner and chopped off the head of the death row prisoner with his own hands. Shiratori still remembers the head rolling on the ground and the blood like a fountain on the neck. One drop of blood even fell accurately on Shiratori's cheek. That feeling was warm and fishy. So Shiratori started to vomit again. With the executioner's eyes saying Uchiha are all perverted lunatics, Shiratori stumbled away from the execution ground, subconsciously staying away from Setsuna when walking, causing him to laugh. Shiratori will probably remember this unforgettable extracurricular practice activity for the rest of his life. At this time, several Jonins finally discussed the results and returned to everyone. As the captain of this operation, Sarutobi Sutan looked at the miserable appearance of everyone, and his heart sank to the bottom. If something really happened on the front line, can these people really go to the battlefield? After discussing with several captains, we decided to act separately in small teams. Witnessing the tragic ending of the previous transport team being annihilated, Sultan made the decision to divide the troops to avoid being wiped out. Since the opponent has the strength to surround and kill 4 Jonins and 12 mid and low level ninjas in a short period of time, it is the best decision to act separately at this time. Although Sultan believes that the strength of the 4 Jonins, including himself, is far greater than that of the previous team, as the captain, he dare not gamble. After all, the famous 7 ninja swordsmen of the Hidden Mist are definitely not ordinary people. Before that, we need to collect the bodies of these fallen comrades and bury them first. After the crisis is over, we will bring them back to Konoha for burial. In view of your embarrassing performance just now, this matter will be done by you. The 4 of us leading Jonin will not participate. Then let's get started now. Chapter 16, The Third Ninja World War. August, the 48th year of Konoha. At the same time when Shiratori and others encountered an emergency, the sky of Konoha village was covered with flying eagles carrying messages, and their flapping wings seemed to bring the smell of gunpowder far away from the border into Konoha. The cloud village of the Land of Lightning tore up the armistice agreement with Konoha. The third generation Raikage personally led more than 10,000 elite ninjas to invade the Frost Country, and then divided the troops into 2 groups. One group was led by the commander of the Ninja Dode, and continued to lead the army to the border of the Land of Fire, while the third generation Raikage and the assassination team he personally led disappeared. In the southeast, the ninja troops of the Hidden Mist village crossed the sea and headed straight for the Land of Fire. As the nail embedded in the sea by Konoha, the ninja base of the Land of Waves, disappeared after the news of the massive invasion of the Hidden Mist village came out, and it must be a bad omen. On the other side, the Hidden Mist village and the Hidden Sand village invaded the Land of Rain at the same time. The Land of Rain is located between the 3 kingdoms of fire, earth, and wind. If nothing unexpected happens, the main battlefield on the western front will still be this tragic battlefield. That's it. The 4 ninja villages are fighting without declaration, and the swords are pointed directly at Konoha. The Ninja World War has begun. The meeting room of the Hokage building. Mitokado repeated the information and pinched his nose. At this time in the meeting room, the third Hokage Shiratori Hiruzen sat in the main seat, and on his right were the 2 major advisors of Konoha. The usually elusive Shimura Danzo also made a rare appearance this time, and sat on Shiratori Hiruzen's left. All the Jonin, special Jonin, and clan leaders of each ninja clan in the village were also present. I have sent people to the capital to ask the daimyo whether, Hiruzen, is this the time to discuss this? The 4 great nations are almost at the gates. We in Konoha have the power to make our own decisions. The war has already begun, and the opportunity is fleeting. Do we still have to wait for the daimyo to declare war on the enemy? There is no need to worry about those red tapes now. Shiratori Hiruzen just opened his mouth when he was interrupted by Danzo in a slightly rude manner. I know. Danzo, listen to me. Informing the daimyo is an indispensable step, not waiting for his order. Don't forget that our funds and food still depend on the nobles in the capital. Shiratori Hiruzen tapped his pipe and looked at Danzo helplessly. This old friend of mine likes to seize every opportunity, regardless of the occasion or time, and tries his best to show his presence in front of everyone. Yan, is there any other news from the Rain Country? Yes, but it's a little strange. Mitaman Yan picked up another piece of intelligence, frowned, and said in confusion, Itsuchika Jinoki didn't appear at the front line. Hearing this, the conference room exploded. Unlike other ninja villages, Iwagakure is a typical light head and heavy feet. The strength of the bottom and middle level ninjas is no worse than that of Konoha and Kumogakure, but the high-end combat power that can stand alone is extremely scarce. No, this is no longer a question of scarcity, because whether it is a 5 level strongman or a commander who can command a large-scale battle, looking at the entire Iwagakure village, there is only the 3rd generation Tsuchika Jinoki. Inoki isn't going to the front line? How is that possible? That dwarf doesn't think it's necessary, does he? Relying on those useless Jonin under his command? Are they going to rely on a pile of lives? Damn it. Our Konoha is being underestimated. Unlike everyone else who was indignant, Nerashikaku, who was sitting in the front row, frowned deeply, and then was shocked. Hokage-sama. The new head of the Nera clan stood up, his voice overwhelming everyone present. I think the most urgent task now is not to figure out why that Suchikage isn't going to the front line, but the movements of the Raikage. Go on. Shiratori Hiruzen showed encouragement, and the corners of his mouth even curled up slightly. Yes. Shikaku took a deep breath. In front of so many seniors, he was really nervous. I think there are two possibilities for the Raikage's movement. One is to pass through the frost country and secretly go south along the coastline of the hot spring country, join forces with the Kirigakure, and use their absolute advantage to capture our southeastern land. But I think it is unlikely. Why? If he is going to cooperate with the Kirigakure to raid our southeastern camp, then the Raikage will definitely take away most of the troops, instead of just the guards and the Enbu. As the shadow of the Cloud Village, he will not put himself surrounded by the Kirigakure ninjas. Even if they are allies, the Cloud Village and the Kirigakure will not trust each other to such an extent. Makes sense. What about the other possibility? The other one. Shikaku gritted his teeth, going by the land country, and then directly into the heart of the fire country from the northern border. As soon as these words came out, the huge conference room was silent, and everyone felt their backs soaked with cold sweat. Konoha's northern border doesn't have any standing troops. No way. Those muscular idiots from the land of lightning, those reckless men who can only fight head on, wouldn't they change their nature? Everyone. Shiratori Hiruzen turned everyone's attention back to himself. Shikaku is right. The Sandaime Raikage, the strongest spear and the strongest shield in the ninja world, should have entered the land of rice by now. Hiruzen? Danzo turned his head with a surprised look, not understanding why the other party was so sure. Not only the Raikage, that Suchikage Inoki is also in the land of rice. At the same time, there are 10,000 elite Iwagakure members who have been lurking there for a long time. Now everyone was completely unable to sit still. Even Orochimaru, who had been daydreaming in the corner, couldn't help but look at his teacher. Jiraiya stood up and said anxiously, "Old man, I'm going to the north now. Don't panic." Hiruzen interrupted Jiraiya and motioned for him to sit down and be patient. Iwagakure is our ally. At least it's our ally now. Wait. Danzo stared at Hiruzen with his one eye. You mean, Anoki's target is Kumogakure? Is it the Raikage? Yes, that Suchikage has already explained this to me in a secret letter. Ridiculous. Danzo roared, slammed the table, and asked angrily, "You actually put 10,000 enemy ninjas on the doorstep of the fire country?" I said, "They are now allies of Konoha ally?" Ridiculous. If Inoki breaks the alliance and takes 10,000 rock ninjas and the Raikage to invade the land of fire, you will be the sinner of Konoha. Danzo. Shiratori Hiruzen was also a little angry. Am I such a naive person? I have already transferred more than half of the ninjas in the northwest camp to the border of the land of rice in the name of defending the land of thunder, and the remaining ninjas are secretly stationed at the Kamubi bridge in the land of grass with the tacit consent of that Suchikage. If that Suchikage has other ideas, then this force will invade the land of earth and directly take the Iwagakure village with weak defense. Forget it. Danzo sighed and said nothing. He now has only one thought in his mind. Even if you take the Iwagakure village, what's the use? Exchange the fertile land of the land of fire for the barren land of the land of earth? In other words, Danzo is still normal now. If it was the old dog Danzo who talks a lot of big principles, but does all the work of a spy and kills 1,000 enemies, and then 3,000 of his own people more than 10 years later, he might have secretly contacted that Suchikage to induce the other side to attack the land of fire, and then took the opportunity to impeach Shiratori Hiruzen. After Danzo made up his mind to keep his mouth shut, the progress of the combat meeting was visibly accelerated, and with a series of discussions, appointments, recommendations, self-recommendations, the specific deployment of Konoha village for this ninja world war was basically determined. Chapter 17 The Missing Wind Shadow. Konoha's deployment is as follows. In the direction of the land of rain, because it needs to bear the pressure of the two major ninja villages of rock and sand at the same time, Danzo is the commander of the southwest camp, and Orochimaru, one of the three ninjas, assists him. In the direction of the land of lightning in the northeast, Jiraiya, one of the three ninjas, is appointed as the commander, and he and his disciple Namikaze Minato, who has already arrived at the border, will fight against the attack of Kumogakure. However, Considering that although the individual strength of this master and apprentice is beyond doubt, their ability to deploy troops is basically the same as that of the old man selling popsicles at the door, Narashikaku will also accompany them as a military advisor. In the southeast direction, it is still a Kimichi Tofu, if the southeast camp still exists. The last time the southeast camp sent news was 3 days ago. At that time, the war had not yet broken out. Akimichi Tofu reported the large-scale ninja mobilization in the Mist Village. In Konoha's plan, if the southeast camp is not defeated, then Akimichi Tofu will be under greater pressure than now. This pressure is so great that even Shiratori Hiruzen has a deep concern for his old friend. Konoha is not prepared to provide a large number of reinforcement to the southeast, and can only rely on the southeast camp's own strength to resist the invasion of Kirigakure at an absolute disadvantage. Not only Akimichi Tofu, but even Konoha is not prepared to invest too much strength in the direction of the Rain Country. Danzo's most important task at present is not to defeat the Sand Ninja and the Rock Ninja, but how to muddy the waters of the Rain Country and prevent the enemy from discovering that the Konoha army is strong on the outside, but weak on the inside. Abandoning the southwest and southeast battlefields, Konoha village, which has freed up its hands, is ready to send all its forces to the battlefields of the Hot Spring Country and the Frost Country to confront the Kumogakure. Because Konoha's current strategic focus is in the northeast, if that Tsuchikage's ambush can severely damage, or even kill the third Reikage, then there will surely be chaos inside Kumogakure. As long as they can withstand the first few waves of Kumogakure's offensive, and then concentrate their forces to counterattack the Land of Lightning, maybe they can make Kumogakure, Konoha's biggest enemy, withdraw directly from the Ninja World War. Shiratori Hiruzen and Konoha's decision makers are betting that Konoha can get rid of Kumogakure before the battlefields of the Rain Country and the southeast battlefield collapse. This is a risky move, very risky, especially facing the southeast of Kirigakure. Don't forget, the battlefield between Konoha and Kirigakure is in the Land of Fire. After the meeting, Konohagakure, the strongest war machine in the world, was fully operational. Just as everyone was doing their job and preparing to lead the troops to the battlefields of various parties, an urgent intelligence from the Land of Wind was quickly delivered to the Hokage's office. Shiratori Hiruzen opened it and took a look. He almost thought he was presbyopic. The Sandagakure army retreated to the Land of Wind. The third Kazakage is suspected to be missing. Damn, it can't be an intelligence fraud. Land of Wind, Sandagakure village. Compared with the orderly Konoha village, the Sandagakure meeting room was a mess. The originally good internal meeting turned into a debate. The participants made sarcastic remarks, sneered, and exchanged sharp words. Swords and sabers. Well, physical swords and sabers. Chiyo, the consultant of Sandagakure, walked into the meeting room and saw this scene. Stop. Hearing Chiyo's angry rebuke, the two Jonin who had already drawn their ninja swords and were about to enter the decisive battle froze and quickly discarded their weapons. Shame. Coward. With this energy, you should go to the battlefield to kill the enemy instead of drawing swords against your companions. Chiyo walked to the position of the Kazakage and sat down. She looked around the conference room with a stern look. She looked at the panic of these Sand Village elites and could hardly suppress the anger in her heart. The war is coming, and these bastards are still fighting among themselves. Chiyo-sama. Everyone lowered their heads, not daring to look into Chiyo's eyes. Tell me about the situation. Yes. The chief of the intelligence department repeated the known information to Chiyo. The Sandaime Kazakage lost contact on the way to the front line of the Rain Country, and the location was approximately near the Sand City. Several Jonin who accompanied him also disappeared, including Chiyo's grandson, the strongest puppeteer of Sand Village, Scorpion of the Red Sand. Scorpion. Chiyo clenched her fists tightly, then raised her head suddenly. Can the Sandaime's life or death be confirmed? Speak. Yes, yes. The chief officer of the intelligence department shuddered and reported truthfully. We contacted the summoning beast of the Kazakage-sama, and the summoning contract disappeared. He didn't finish his words, but Chiyo already knew the result. The Sandaime Kazakage, the strongest Kazakage of Sand Village, was confirmed dead before the start of the Third Shinobi World War. Who is the commander of the frontline troops? Chiyo is basically in a semi-retired state. She will not ask about any decision making in the village. If the Kazakage had not disappeared, she would not have come out to take charge of the overall situation again. It's Rasajonin. Did he make any moves? Rasajonin has led his troops to withdraw from the rain country, saying that he wants to help find the Kazakage-sama. Heh. Chiyo uttered an ambiguous sneer and then stopped talking. The meeting room fell into a strange silence, and uneasiness and restlessness filled everyone's heart. For a long time. Now, I will take over the post of Kazakage. Tell Luosha to return to the front line of Rain Country immediately. The battle plan remains unchanged. He is still the supreme commander of the battlefield of Rain Country. Chiyo stood up. Although she was not tall, she exuded an amazing aura. It seemed that she had turned back to the Chiyo who crisscrossed the battlefield in the past. There must be no chaos inside the Sand village. The best solution now is to suppress the turmoil and chaos caused by the disappearance of the Kazakage through external war. Also, tell Luosha that, if he makes achievements on the battlefield of Rain Country, I, Chiyo, will nominate him to be the next Kazakage. Yes. As if the backbone had been found, the conference room was finally no longer filled with despair. A senior ninja in charge of communication hurriedly stood up and prepared to pass the message to Luosha. Wait. Chiyo suddenly stopped him. Lord Chiyo, do you have any other instructions? Does Luosha have any relatives in the village? A wife and a daughter. Oh, by the way, his wife is pregnant now. Tell Luosha to stay at the front and command the battle. His family is safe. I will protect them. Please, don't worry. The Jonin was startled and subconsciously raised his head and happened to meet Chiyo's deep eyes. He felt a chill rising from his feet and instantly spread to all parts of his body. Yes, I understand. The Jonin walked out of the meeting room quickly as if escaping. Don't worry. To be precise, it is a warning to Luosha not to have any crooked thoughts. Sure enough, Lord Chiyo is still the same Lord Chiyo, the killing god who poisoned thousands of enemy ninjas on the battlefield. You too, from now on, only Jonin with families are allowed to be commanders until the end of the war. Now is an extraordinary period in the village. I hope you can understand. Yes. Chapter 18 Misjudgment and Support. Shiratori please, I want more. No, I really don't have a drop left. Nonsense, you obviously still have so much. Okay, I won't give it to you. Ziwei, who was running at the front of the team, couldn't help but look back. At such a young age, what kind of lewd words are you saying? Feeling Ziwei's gaze, Yuhi Kuronoi stopped talking. She just wanted to ask Shiratori for some clean water to wash her hands. After burying the bodies of her Konoha companions, especially those with broken limbs, she always felt that her hands were still emitting lingering corpse odor. But considering that there was still a day and a half to go, and the situation on the front line was not clear, Ziwei ordered to save water resources and not to waste drinking water. So Yuhi Kuronoi had to give up. Please be patient for a while and wait until we reach the southeast camp. Ziwei suddenly couldn't say anything. The 7 ninja swordsmen could actually do whatever they wanted in the land of fire. Does the southeast camp still exist now? Ziwei could only force herself to think positively. Konoha is the most powerful ninja village in the ninja world. Even if something really happened, the village would send reinforcement quickly. Maybe the reinforcement are on the way now, and then they can encircle and suppress Biwa Juzo and the other 7 ninja swordsmen. Wait, encircle and suppress? No. Ziwei breaks suddenly, and Shiratori, who was a little distracted, almost bumped into him. Teacher Ziwei, what's wrong? Even through the black hood, Shiratori noticed Ziwei's anxious look. Even when he found the bodies of his companions before, Ziwei didn't lose his composure like this. 5 days. Ziwei clenched his fists, and his eyes were gloomy. It has been 5 days since the last transport team was wiped out. The mist-hidden army that sneaked into the land of fire has plenty of time to destroy the bodies instead of waiting for us to find them. Are they worried about the patrol ninjas on the front line? Ibiki asked. Ziwei shook his head and replied, but no investigation team was sent to the front line, right? If the abnormality on the front line was planned by Kurigakure, then they could not have failed to calculate this. Even out of caution, they should have destroyed the bodies that were most likely to reveal clues, such as the ninja who was cut off by the beheading sword and had his blood sucked. So that's why Shiratori felt a chill in his heart. The Kirigakure deliberately let us discover all this. Zuo's tone was extremely heavy. We were fooled. Their purpose is to make us split up. The 7 ninja swordsmen are the most elite force of the Kirigakure, and their status is only second to the Mizukage and the tailed beast Jinchuriki. If the Kirigakure really attacked the southeast camp, then the village would immediately gather reinforcement and rush to their aid. If the 7 ninja swordsmen are still in the heart of the Land of Fire at this time, then there will be the danger of being surrounded and annihilated. The Kirigakure will never take risks with ninjas of the level of the 7 ninja swordsmen. If I'm not mistaken. Zuo looked at his 3 subordinates and said slowly, Biwajuzo who holds the beheading sword is no longer here, but the Kirigakure has not evacuated all the ninjas. These ninjas are not sure about facing a team led by several Jonin, but facing the Jonin teams after the division, they are sure to attack and kill 1 or 2 of them at the same time, and finally, defeat them one by one. Shiratori admired Aburameshua's analytical ability and guessed the next course of action, so he took out a scroll from his waist. Unlock. After a puff of smoke, a white ninja sword appeared on the scroll. What is this? Han cast a curious look. Ninja sword Hikashio. Shiratori tied this ninja sword, which was almost as long as one side of himself, behind his back. This sword was a gift from Shiratori's grandfather before he left. It has a great origin. It was the sword of Shiratori's great-grandfather, the second generation Hokage Senju Tobirama. Speaking of which, the strongest record of this sword in the past seems to be that it cut open Uchiha Raizuna's belly with one sword, causing him to be seriously injured and die. Shiratori didn't dare show this thing to Grandpa Setsuna, for he was afraid that the other party would break the sword and throw it into the septic tank. By the way, Shiratori's best weapon is the ninja sword, but it is not the Uchiha sword technique, but inherited from the Senju clan. His grandfather once praised him for his sword skills, which are quite like the style of the second generation Hokage. Teacher Zuo, should we move closer to other teams next? Shiratori sorted out his clothes, put the ninja sword in a position that is most convenient to pull out, and then asked, yes. Zuo put down the wooden box behind him and said to the 3 people, now, hide your wooden boxes here and mark them. We will travel light and move closer to the direction of other teams as quickly as possible. I hope it's not too late, Zuo added silently in my heart. Half a day has passed. If there is an attack, it should have happened long ago. Since this team is safe and sound, then the other teams, I guess some of them have won the prize. Another half day passed, and the sun was about to set. Team Zuo stopped. They had already determined that Team Shushin, the closest to them, was in trouble, and they themselves were also in trouble. Didn't we deviate from the direction? Ibiki was a little uncertain. I don't know. Han clenched her kune, and her palms were full of sweat due to her nervousness. Fog, and it was a heavy fog. The surroundings were all white, and it was impossible to tell east, south, west, and north. Even if they were far away, they couldn't see each other's figures clearly. And chakra, there is free chakra in the fog. Shiratori opened his Sharingan, and 2 magatama in each of his eyes rotated around his pupils. In his eyes, the white fog at this time emitted a faint light, which was the light of chakra. The hidden mist technique. Zuo stretched out his hand and felt the mist carefully and said helplessly, the good news is that we can confirm that the Mizuten Jounin's team has been attacked. The bad news is we don't know their location and can't provide timely support. He has released countless parasitic bugs, but still can't tell the direction. Many parasitic bugs even get lost because they absorb the chaotic chakra in the mist and can't return to themselves. Teacher Zuo, Shiratori suddenly asked, the center of the hidden mist technique should be the caster, right? That's right. The closer to the center, the higher the concentration of chakra. That's right, but as the mist spreads, this change in chakra concentration is difficult to sense, even for the most powerful perception ninja. This is the difficulty of the hidden mist technique, unless Aburamesui was suddenly stunned, because he noticed Shiratori's scholar eyes. Yes. Sharingan. There is also an Uchiha ninja in my team. The main reason is that Shiratori usually behaves too elegantly and easily, which makes him out of tune with the other pretentious Uchiha clan members, making people ignore the fact that he is also from the Uchiha clan. And he is the most famous genius in the Uchiha clan. Wait for me, Shiratori said and ran into the depths of the thick fog, wandering around, and soon returned to everyone. Over there, that direction should be the caster, and there is more than one caster, be careful. Unable to sense? Sorry, I use my eyes. Any tiny change in chakra cannot escape the capture of the Sharingan, and even the Byakugan cannot compare in this regard. The Byakugan and the Sharingan have different focuses on observation ability, one horizontally and the other vertically. If the insight of the Byakugan is seeing far, a large range, and being able to see through, then the Sharingan is seeing accurately, controlling details, and being very clear. Chapter 19, Illusion Sharingan. The Konoha ninja who combed his hair into the look of Patrick covered the wound on his abdomen, and leaned against the tree weakly, no longer able to fight. Damn it, I can't see anything at all. Can I just wait to die? Miss Mibuki, I haven't confessed to you yet. He slowly slid down the tree trunk, and sat on the ground weakly. At this time, a Kirigakure Chunin wearing an assassination team mask approached him from the side and back, with almost no sound. It's over. The Kirigakure ninja swung his knife towards his neck. Patrick ninja turned around, as if he had sensed something, and just happened to see the blade that was constantly enlarging in his eyes. No, the experience of a short life flashed through his mind like a revolving lantern, and finally fixed on a pretty face. Mibuki, I'm sorry. Then he felt that his carefully groomed hair was grabbed. Shiratori, who arrived in time, grabbed Patrick ninja's hair and pulled it towards himself, making him narrowly avoid this inevitable killing. Bang! With a muffled sound, the sword of the Kirigakure ninja chopped on the tree trunk and sank deeply into it, making it difficult to pull it out in the first place. Good opportunity. Shiratori threw the still confused Patrick ninja far away and held the hilt of the sword behind him with his backhand. Swish! The ninja sword Beicheo was unsheathed in an instant, tearing the air, with a chilling sound of breaking through the air, and fiercely slashed at the Kirigakure ninja's face. The Kirigakure ninja decisively abandoned the sword. He turned over to avoid the attack, and while pulling away from the body, he quickly formed a seal with his hands, and an unknown water escape ninjutsu swallowed up Shiratori's figure. The sky was filled with water mist. What? It turned out to be a fledgling with little combat experience. He was almost going to see the Six Paths Sage, and he was still in fear. He walked over, pulled out the sword stuck in the tree trunk with force, and jumped and slashed at Shiratori's position with great force. It's over. Patrick ninja closed his eyes reluctantly. It's a pity. I waited so hard for reinforcement, but I didn't expect it to be a rookie. I died, but I dragged my companion down with me, and he was just a child. I feel so guilty. It's over. The Kirigakure ninja said this for the second time. At this moment, the sword light wrapped in lightning split the mist, and the figure of Shiratori stood there intact. The Kirigakure ninja in midair just met Shiratori's eyes. There was no panic, and what came into view was a pair of scholar eyes. Not good. It was too late to look away, and the Kirigakure ninja suddenly felt dizzy. Jinjutsu Sharingan. This is the exclusive Jinjutsu of Sharingan, and it is also the basis of all Jinjutsu of the Uchiha clan. However, because of its damage mechanism, that is directly linked to the user's mental power, and its simple and rough method of use, the lower and upper limits are extremely high, and the power is even higher than most of the derivative Jinjutsu. This Jinjutsu can be activated by just looking at each other, which can maximize the hypnotic ability of Sharingan. Shiratori once saw this sentence in the family's secret scroll. Sharingan is the origin of illusion, and all illusions in the world are poor imitations of Sharingan illusions. It's very crazy, with a lot of bragging, but it seems to make sense. Illusion Sharingan rejects all fancy tricks, and it is activated by looking at each other. It uses the power of the pupil to inject huge spiritual power into the opponent's mind, disrupting the operation of chakra and suppressing the opponent's mind, so as to achieve the purpose of creating illusions and depriving the opponent of control over the body. What's more, if the pupil power is strong enough, it can make the opponent have a specific illusion that the caster wants the other party to see, and even temporarily weave a false memory. Shiratori certainly can't do this. His Sharingan is only double Megathema, and when it comes to 3 Megathema, not necessarily. But it's enough to deal with a Kirigakure Chunin. The Kirigakure ninja lost control of his body and felt that everything in the world was spinning. The colors around him became extremely weird: blue trees, orange earth, green sky, and pink knife tip. Pink knife tip? Exclamation mark. Puff, the Kirigakure ninja fell from the sky, and his neck just happened to be stuck on the tip of Shiratori's knife. Everything in his eyes returned to normal, but unfortunately he couldn't see. At the last moment of his life, he heard Shiratori whisper in his ear, "Life, there is always a first time. Fortunately, my first kill was picked by you. Are you surprised?" The world fell into darkness completely. Shiratori resisted the discomfort in his heart, stepped on the opponent's chest to pull out the long sword, shook off the blood on the sword, and then looked at Patrick Ninja. At this time, Patrick Ninja still didn't open his eyes. "Hey." Shiratori walked over and kicked him. "Go ahead, I won't surrender to you Kirigakure bastards." Shiratori was speechless and kicked again. "Damn it, don't tease me. Hurry up. You say he is a coward. He would rather die than surrender. You say he is brave. He didn't even dare to open his eyes when he was waiting to die. Open your eyes, Patrick." Shiratori suddenly felt that this person was quite interesting. "Who of you is Patrick?" Patrick Ninja subconsciously opened his eyes and then saw Shiratori's half smile. "Huh, it's you? Are you okay?" "Of course I'm okay." Shiratori didn't finish her words and saw Patrick Ninja suddenly showing an angry expression. "Patrick Ninja, he didn't kill you. Did you surrender?" "Shiratori, what? What are you talking about? Are you sick?" Shiratori didn't want to pay attention to him, so he turned around and left. And our Patrick Ninja finally noticed the Kirigakure ninja lying on the ground with his eyes open. "Wait, you won. Did you kill him?" "No, I surrendered." Shiratori walked to the Kirigakure ninja's body and took off his mask. The Kirigakure Assassination Force's mask is the best trophy, even though it's only a Chunin. "Brother, thank you for saving my life. I'm really sorry for what happened just now." Patrick Ninja stumbled over, covering his wound, and watched Shiratori hang the mask around his waist with a grateful look on his face. Shiratori waved his hand and threw a roll of bandages over. Patrick Ninja took the bandages and suddenly remembered something. He said anxiously, "Brother, I have 2 companions. Can you go and save them? Please." "Don't worry, I will." With the death of the Kirigakure ninja in front of him, the fog in the forest faded at a speed visible to the naked eye. There are 4 types of chakras in the Kirigakure ninja technique here, 1 large and 3 small, which should correspond to the Jonin captain and 3 Chunin subordinates of this assassination team. Under Shiratori's observation and command, a Burame Shiwei rushed towards the opponent's Jonin. Shiratori picked the Chunin with the strongest chakra reaction, while Hang and Ibiki joined forces to contain the weakest Chunin. As the future Jonin and special Jonin of Konoha, even if they are still young, they should have no problem resisting a Chunin. As for the remaining one, I'm sorry, we are short of manpower here, and the colleague who was targeted by him can only pray for good luck. Chapter 20 Sakura Dada's request. Shiratori adjusted his breathing, sheathed the ninja sword, and prepared to go to support Hang and Ibiki. Patrick Ninja hesitated. "What's wrong? Can I ask you a favor? If you meet a female ninja named Ikura Mibuki, please save her." "Of course, I also need to save that guy Ice, anyway. Please." Patrick Ninja put his hands together with a pleading look on his face, and it felt like he was about to kneel down to Shiratori. "Mibuki?" When Shiratori first arrived, he seemed to hear Patrick Ninja mumbling this name from afar. "Yes, if I can save her, I, Hirunozeo, am willing to do anything for you. Don't worry, even if you don't ask." "Wait, what's your name?" "Hirunozeo. Is there a problem?" Hirunozeo, who combed his hair like Patrick, was a little panicked and began to recall whether he had offended the other party before. "It's okay." Shiratori rushed into the fog without looking back, so that Hirunozeo would not see his surprised expression. "Damn, I was wondering why this pink-haired Patrick star looked familiar." It turned out to be Sakura's father. So, the female ninja named Ikura Mibuki might be the future Sakura's mother? Interesting. Although he was surprised to meet Sakura's parents, Shiratori did not change his plan. He ran towards Hang and Ibiki without hesitation. So what if Sakura's father and mother are more important than the safety of his teammates? If the enemy that Hang and Ibiki were fighting was the one that Mibuki happened to be fighting, and Mibuki was still safe and sound, then of course everyone would be happy. If the enemy that Mibuki was fighting was the one that no one paid attention to, and she couldn't beat it, then I can only say Smith Marcel to Sakura-chan. Damn, are you crazy, woman? Obviously, his kunai had already pierced the opponent's shoulder, but he never thought that the crazy woman on the opposite side actually grabbed his arm, and then opened her mouth without thinking, and bit it hard. The Kirigakure ninja kept hitting the woman's back and head, swinging his arms vigorously, but the other party let the blood flow down from her forehead, and bit her even harder. After a very primitive struggle, the Kirigakure ninja saw the opportunity, and kicked the other party in the waist. With a rip, although he kicked the crazy woman away, he was still bitten off a piece of flesh by the other party. The Kirigakure ninja couldn't help but scream, covering his bloody arm with one hand, with an undisguised murderous intent in his eyes. The female ninja fell heavily to the ground, rolled backwards and stood up immediately. At this time, Ikura Mibuki was covered with wounds. Her tall body was torn and bloody, and her pretty face was covered with blood, but her expression was extremely crazy. A living female Shura. Come on. You Kirigakure bastard. Looking at Mibuki's expression, the Kirigakure ninja suddenly felt a little scared. He originally looked down on the Konoha ninjas, thinking that the living environment of the Konoha ninjas was too comfortable. In a one-on-one situation, this woman would lose the courage to resist. But now he realized that he might have gnawed the hardest bone. Madman. Pervert. The Kirigakure ninja cursed again in a low voice, bent down to pick up the long sword that fell to the ground, and said viciously, "That's it, you crazy woman, the game is over. Can you still use that damn medical ninjutsu?" Hearing this, Yabuki was silent. The reason why she could fight with an elite chunin of the Kirigakure assassination unit for such a long time was mainly because of her barely acceptable medical ninjutsu. During the fight, she dared to exchange injuries for injuries, fight, and heal at the same time, and made the opponent helpless. But now, her chakra has reached the bottom and she can no longer heal herself. Seeing that the other side didn't speak, the Kirigakure ninja showed a cruel smile. Swish, Yabuki felt a flash in front of her eyes, and saw the enemy coming in front of her in an instant. The Kirigakure ninja didn't waste any words, and stabbed Mibuki's chest with a long sword. Mibuki couldn't dodge in time, and could only raise her arm in an attempt to block it with her flesh and blood. Puff, the long sword pierced through her arm, and then stabbed into Mibuki's chest. Fortunately, after being blocked by the arm bones, the sword was somewhat weak, and did not pierce into the internal organs, but was stuck by the sternum. Before Mibuki could fight back, the Kirigakure ninja swung his fist and hit her side face fiercely. Mibuki wanted to resist, but one hand was pierced through the blade and nailed to her chest, and the other hand, after being stabbed in the shoulder by the opponent with a kunai, it could no longer move. Bang! Mibuki was hit by the opponent's longsword and flew out. This punch was so heavy that she only felt her head buzzing constantly, and she couldn't even control her body. In the end, she had to collapse to the ground. The Kirigakure ninja had already walked to her side and held the long sword that was still stuck in her body with both hands. It's over. The Kirigakure ninja exhaled a breath of relief and slowly thrust the long sword into Mibuki's chest. The process was extremely slow and cruel, showing his hatred for Mibuki. This battle was too frustrating. Mibuki closed his eyes. He was still too weak. There was no chance of winning at all. I wonder if that idiot Zao could. At this moment, something strange happened. With a whoosh, a white ninja sword tore through the thick fog and flew towards the Kirigakure ninja at high speed. The Kirigakure ninja's face changed drastically, and he quickly let go of his hand and leaned back. At the moment he let go of his hand, the sneak attacking ninja sword flew past his nose and finally deeply inserted into the tree trunk beside him. He escaped a disaster, and his heart was pounding, and he roared in a slightly terrified manner. Say my name, it's scary. Forget it, I won't play the cliché anymore. You shouldn't know me, how about I introduce myself first? The white bat gradually emerged from the fog. Little kid. The Kirigakure ninja's face darkened, and a deep sense of shame filled his heart. He was almost killed by a sneak attack from a little kid! Exclamation mark. He was furious, and was ready to rush up and kill the brat with a knife, but when he saw what was hanging on the other party's waist, he stopped abruptly. There were 2 masks hanging. 2 blood-stained masks of the Kirigakure assassination force. Are you talking about this? Following the other party's line of sight, Shiratori looked at his waist, then smiled brightly and said, "You want this? No, this is my trophy. How is it possible?" The Kirigakure ninja's voice was hoarse. Looking at Shiratori's tender face, his eyes revealed disbelief. "Nothing is impossible if you don't believe it." Shiratori gradually put away his smile and said slowly, "Why don't you go ask them yourself?" Chapter 21 Head-on confrontation. Kill the mist ninja. Shiratori was arrogant on the surface, but he was actually a little entangled in his heart. The Kirigakure ninja was too close to the seriously injured Mibuki. If he used his best fire escape attack, it would be difficult not to affect Mibuki as well. If he rushed forward directly, he was more worried that the opponent would get rid of Mibuki first. In fact, the best way at this time was to use the illusion of the Sharingan to launch a sneak attack, but the opponent was a little far away from him, and the effect of the illusion would be greatly reduced. Moreover, whether it was the first battle, to save Hiruno's AO, or the second battle, to kill the enemy with Hang and Ibuki, Shiratori used illusions. At this time, his pupil power was overconsumed, and he could only barely open the Sharingan, and could not use illusions again. But fortunately, he still had teammates. The rustling sound of passing through the bushes was faintly heard, and the Kirigakure ninja's ears moved, and suddenly turned around, just in time to see Hang and Ibuki running towards him from behind. The Kirigakure ninja's sight inadvertently swept across Hang's gem-like eyes, and his movement was slightly stagnant. Illusion. It's a pity that Hang's strength is not strong enough. After forming a seal in advance, and using this trick to perform the illusion with all her strength, she was exhausted and forced to stop. The Kirigakure ninja only felt dizzy for a moment, and then recovered immediately. However, this also provided enough time for Shiratori to rush forward. At this time, Ibuki, after receiving a signal from Shiratori, also ran forward at the same time. Did the Kirigakure ninja want to kill the crazy woman under his feet first, but because of the momentary distraction just now, he almost lost the right to choose. If he doesn't react immediately, then what awaits him will be a double attack. Although Shiratori is young, the 2 masks hanging around his waist are enough to explain the problem, and Ibuki, judging from his appearance, he should be a cruel and brave uncle. Definitely not simple. The Kirigakure ninja gritted his teeth, and made a decision in an instant. He didn't want to be stupidly stunned in the same place, so he rushed out like an arrow, and his target was Shiratori. Although the uncle looked very strong, Shiratori with 2 masks on his waist was more intimidating. Moreover, after killing 2 of his companions, how much chakra did this kid have left? This was a sure thing. Shiratori breathed a sigh of relief when he saw the other party's choice. If this guy went to kill Ibuki first, then things would be serious. Now Ibuki's ability to fight head-on would not be much stronger than Uchiha, except that his face was more deceptive. Shiratori and Kirigakure ninjas who were charging at the same time met. Kirigakure ninjas were adults, tall and long-armed, and took the initiative to punch Shiratori in the face, while Shiratori tilted his head slightly, and the wind from his fist brushed his cheek. Shiratori, who dodged the attack, rushed forward without hesitation, and also threw a punch without any fancy moves. So fast. Kirigakure ninjas were slightly startled, and stretched out their big hands to hold Shiratori's fist, but what he didn't expect was the power contained in this punch. When the fists and palms collided, the Kirigakure ninja suddenly felt something was wrong. He caught it, but Shiratori's fist simply ignored the obstruction. Without the slightest pause, Shiratori's fist, which condensed a large amount of chakra, hit the opponent's shoulder socket heavily, including the opponent's palm. Bang! The powerful impact exploded on his body, and the Kirigakure ninja flew out without surprise. At this time, Ibuki also ran to the position of Yabuki. He first lowered his head to avoid the Kirigakure ninja flying over his head, and then gently picked up Yabuki. From the beginning to the end, his purpose was to save people, and he never thought about helping Shiratori fight the enemy. The big brother is fighting, why should I, a weak chicken, add to the chaos? Very tacit understanding, well done. Shiratori ran past Ibiki, said this lightly, and chased after the flying enemy, and also pulled out the long knife he nailed to the tree. Thank you, big brother. Mibuki, with a long sword still stuck in his body, sincerely thanked Ibiki in a weak voice. Big brother? Ibiki, do you know that I really want to throw you out now? Exclamation mark. Bang, the Kirigakure ninja crashed into a tree, and the leaves fell like snowflakes. As he fell to the ground, his mood was the same as Ibiki's. He felt like he was screwed. What kind of power is this? First, there was a crazy woman who didn't care about her life, and then there was a child with ridiculous strength. What? I encountered all the unreasonable things in this world. Shiratori didn't care what others thought. When he rushed over and saw the enemy lying on the ground, he swung the ninja sword dragging on the ground without hesitation. When the ninja sword was raised, the power was so great that the soil on the ground flew up. The Kirigakure ninja dodged the knife by rolling awkwardly and decisively pulled out his kunai to slash at Shiratori's ankle. Shiratori dodged it by lightly jumping back. Lightning style, Thunder Fang Blade. The electric current wrapped around the blade. Water style, Water Fang Blade. The Kirigakure ninja took the opportunity to stand up and also launch the corresponding escape technique, covering the kunai with high pressure water. The two sides looked at each other and then began to charge without any fancy moves. Shiratori held the ninja sword and slashed at the opponent's neck. The Kirigakure ninja bent back and dodged in a fraction of a second with an extreme movement. Then he used the force of his waist to drive his body to rotate and stabbed Shiratori's side chest with the kunai covered with high pressure water. Snap. Shiratori reached out and firmly grasped the opponent's wrist, but the high pressure water still pierced his chainmail and almost pierced into his body. He used his arm to pull the Kirigakure ninja to stagger, then twisted his waist and hit the opponent's head with a knee. The Kirigakure ninja, who dared not underestimate the enemy anymore, raised his hand to block the attack, but even though he had tightened his muscles in advance, he still felt a tingling in his arm, as if he was about to lose consciousness. This dangerous confrontation was almost completed in the blink of an eye. The Kirigakure ninja used force to knock Shiratori away, and Shiratori also loosened his hand holding the other's wrist, and the two sides once again pulled apart. Shiratori exhaled heavily, with a little sweat on his forehead, and the other party was in a similar state. The four eyes met, and then, they collided again. Shiratori and the Kirigakure ninja fought together with clanging. The duel between lightning and water escape, the confrontation between ninja swords and kunai, the collision of flesh and flesh. Shiratori had experienced 2 battles before, and the Kirigakure ninja was not in good condition. Shiratori was flexible, and the Kirigakure ninja also had the advantage of adult height and long arms. Shiratori's strength was unreasonable, and he was holding the ninja sword he was best at, but the Kirigakure ninja also had combat experience that Shiratori could not match. So the two sides fought evenly, and were evenly matched. The people watching the battle from a distance were silent, especially Mibuki, who was lying on the ground. She had never thought that this cute little kid could be so strong. So, he is your captain, right? Ibiki and Hong did not speak, staring at the battle between the two sides without blinking. As time went by, Shiratori's advantage of large chakra volume was gradually reflected. Shiratori's chakra seemed to be bottomless, and the lightning on the ninja sword was still strong. But after the violent collision between the two sides, the water flow on the Kirigakure ninja kunai showed signs of collapse. Water Fang Blade is not a very sophisticated ninjutsu, but every attack of Shiratori is with the momentum of thunder and lightning, and has a sense of perseverance. Under Shiratori's violent attack, Kirigakure ninjas can hardly pull away to cast other ninjutsu. And trying to keep the Water Fang Blade from being chopped off also consumed too much of his chakra. When Kirigakure ninjas were a little exhausted, Shiratori began to steadily gain the upper hand. No, we must think of a way. The Kirigakure ninja wanted to find the opponent's weakness in the fight, but suddenly saw a pair of scholar eyes. Shiratori finally opened the Sharingan. Not good. The Sharingan was famous, and the Kirigakure ninja subconsciously lowered his head to avoid the intersection of vision. As a result, something went wrong with this dodge. Shiratori seized the opponent's weakness. Shiratori slashed hard, and the blade shining with lightning split the water flow on the opponent's kunai, and the kunai that lost the protection of water escape was split into two, and then the ninja sword slashed on the chest of the Kirigakure ninja, who was a little distracted. Swish. Feeling the severe pain in his chest, the Kirigakure ninja retreated with all his strength. Shiratori did not pursue this time. He decisively inserted the ninja sword into the ground, and his hands, that were sealed, almost left an afterimage. Fire escape, great fireball technique. The surging flames condensed and compressed into a fireball with a diameter of several meters in the air, and crushed towards the opponent. The severely injured mist ninja only had time to take out a new kunai, squeeze out the few chakras in his body, and the water fang blade barely took shape, and slashed at the fireball that was already in front of him. He wanted to disperse the fireball. Unfortunately, he never dreamed that this thing would explode. Boom! Exclamation mark. The exploding flames engulfed the figure of the mist ninja. This time, it's really over. Shiratori leaned on the handle of the knife, panting heavily, and sweat dripped to the ground like raindrops. There was no problem with his physical condition and chakra reserves, but he felt a splitting headache, which was a manifestation of excessive mental power consumption. Casting the exclusive illusion of the Sharingan twice in a short period of time, and forcibly opening the Sharingan to scare people in the third battle, the consumption of pupil power was extremely terrifying. Don't forget, his Sharingan is only a 2 Magatama. This illusion is only used as a trump card by the owner of the 3 Magatama Sharingan. Even if he is gifted, casting the Sharingan illusion twice, this behavior is still too risky. Don't dare to play like this again. With a thud, a charred humanoid object fell from the sky. Shiratori resisted the urge to feel dizzy, pulled out the ninja sword from the ground, and walked forward carefully to check. The charred mist ninja suddenly moved. Shiratori was startled, and immediately raised his sword to send the opponent on his last journey. He was not a brainless villain, and would not give the enemy a chance to sit up. "You're..." A hoarse voice like from hell sounded, causing Shiratori's blade to stop at the opponent's neck. "Your name." The mist ninja looked up. His face was burned horribly and hideous. Even though his eyes had turned into carbon beads, he still tried to find Shiratori's location. "Uchiha Shiratori. Uchiha. Shiratori, you are very, very powerful. What's your name?" Shiratori asked. The opponent did not answer, and had already taken his last breath. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Post-War Summary. 5 minutes after Shiratori killed the enemy, 2 Jonins, Ziwei and Shushin, also hurried over. Shushin was holding an unconscious Kirigakure Jonin in his hand, presumably the captain of this assassination team. "Well done." Seeing the charred corpse on the ground and the 3 masks on Shiratori's waist, Ziwei gave Shiratori a thumbs up. No, it's all the result of everyone's joint efforts." Shiratori smiled shyly. A weak voice suddenly sounded. "Thank you very much for saving me, but can you help me pull out the knife first?" At this time, Mibuki still had a knife stuck in his body. Ibuki and Hong, who were standing next to him, were a little embarrassed. They were so busy watching Shiratori fighting the enemy that they actually forgot about this seriously injured person. Several people hurriedly helped Mibuki treat him, and Mibuki, who had already eaten the Binglian pills, could also use medical ninjutsu herself, which saved a lot of trouble. Even after being tortured by Ibuki's exclusive secret Binglian wand, Mibuki's face looked even paler. "Teacher Ziwei, Teacher Suten." Shiratori walked to the 2 of them. "Daruno Zayo and Ikura Mibuki were rescued by us, the ninja named Ice. I'm sorry, he had already died when Ibuki and his men arrived." "It's okay. Thank you very much for your help. You have done a good job." Suten lowered his head, making it difficult for people to see his expression. Ziwei patted Suten's shoulder and comforted him. Suiten, don't blame you. The decision to divide the troops was unanimously agreed by the four of us. No one expected. Suiten shook his head, walked aside alone, and said nothing more. Seeing this scene, Zui sighed. Shiratori Suiten was originally an elite ninja in the Enbu. This was his first time as a team leader. He didn't expect to lose a subordinate in the first mission. It was a big blow to him. Okay, let's rest here first. Shiratori, tell me where Hiruno Zayo is, and I'll go pick him up. Yes. Shiratori left him a few rolls of bandages before leaving. He should have finished bandaging himself now. The dignified Sakura dad, the father of the future #1 medical ninja in Konoha, can't be seriously injured and die just because he doesn't know how to bandage his wounds. Night. Everyone gathered around an open space to rest, and Shiratori was appointed as the temporary captain. Aburame Shiwei and Shiratori Suiten have already set out to find the other two teams. Their subordinates are either seriously injured or exhausted, so they can only go alone. Shiratori is not worried about a Kimichi Choza. After all, he is famous. Even if he encounters the Kirigakure assassination team, it won't be so easy to overturn. On the contrary, the senior ninja named Hinata Takashi. It's not that Shiratori looks down on him, but for a minor role like this whose name doesn't appear in the original work, it doesn't seem like a tough character. Forget it, there's no point in worrying, just wait. Ibiki and Han next to Shiratori are sorting out their ninja tools. Zayo and Mibuki sat opposite the three of them, somewhat silent. Speaking of which, they were not familiar with the sacrificed teammate Ice, and they did not have a good relationship. In the less than 10 days, since the new team was established, several fights had already occurred, and quarrels were constant every day. Ice always laughed at Hiruno Zayo's strange hairstyle, and even made some bad jokes about it. Mibuki, who had known Zayo since childhood, would always try her best to protect her childhood sweetheart. But after all, they were teammates in the same team, and when they heard that the other party was dissolved by the enemy's ninjutsu and nothing was left, they still felt a little sad. Shiratori did not have these feelings. It was not that he was cold-blooded, but he had never seen this sacrificed colleague many times, and he did not even have an impression of the other party's face. He only remembered vaguely that there seemed to be such a person. After expressing sincere condolences in front of the other party's tomb, he basically forgot about this matter. As the strongest member of the Konoha team at this time, he had to take on the responsibility of the safety of the entire team and guarding the prisoners. Shiratori kicked the mist-hidden ninja who had his limbs twisted beside him. After confirming that the other party was in a coma, he still felt unsafe, so he took out the drug and poured a few mouthfuls into the other party's mouth. I hope this thing won't have any sequelae, and I won't be made a fool by myself. After doing this, he stood up and greeted everyone, and then slowly retreated into the darkness. Passively staying in place was not a good choice. His idea was to use himself as a peeping to silently watch the team, while guarding the surroundings in the dark corners where no one knew. Jumping onto a big tree, squatting on a branch with good visibility but hidden enough, he observed the movements around him, and summarized his shortcomings in the battle. The first is combat experience. Shiratori had the upper hand, but he was still fighting hard with the opponent. In the end, he relied on the Sharingan deception and chakra reserves to win, because of the opponent's overwhelming combat experience. There is no solution to this problem. It can only be accumulated through continuous fighting, and it must be a battle of life and death. It is better to fight to the death once than to spar 100 times. The second is ninjutsu. He has been called a genius since he was a child, taught by the leader of the Senju clan and the actual ruler of Uchiha, and can read the secret scrolls of Uchiha's collection. It can be said that Shiratori's fire escape reserve has killed all ninjas below the Jonin. Even some uncommon techniques can be cast if he is given enough time to seal. What he lacks is proficiency, but he is partial to one subject. Shiratori can only use fire escape, and only has one move, lightning escape Thunder Fang Blade. His chakra nature changes have completed the two attributes of fire and lightning, but he has only learned one lightning escape, and even this Thunder Fang Blade cannot be regarded as a real lightning escape. It is just a simple cover of lightning escape chakra on a special ninja tool that can conduct chakra, and at most add a compression control step. It must be said that in close combat, lightning escape with penetrating, paralyzing effects and increased muscle activity is the best choice, and Shiratori has the blood of 1,000 hands. With the blessing of physical strength, close combat must be his advantage, that he cannot give up. I must practice lightning escape. Especially Chidori, I really want to learn it. Shiratori touched his chin. I don't know if Kakashi has walked out of the shadow of his father's suicide. It seems that it is not time yet. After all, Obito is still alive and well. If I want to learn, what will I give in exchange? How about Intimate Paradise? I don't know if Jiraiya has published this book now. Even if it is published, Kakashi is less than 12 years old now, and it seems that he does not need this forbidden book to relieve his worries and boredom. In addition to experience and ninjutsu, Shiratori also discovered something about the Sharingan. Chapter 23 Southeast Camp. In Shiratori's cognition a few years ago, pupil power was a special kind of yin-type chakra. The use of the Sharingan required pupil power, which would lead to a reduction in mental energy. Excessive use of the Sharingan would lead to a face that looked like it was suffering from kidney deficiency. He attributed this side effect to a significant reduction in physical strength. Physical strength, like chakra, was a mixture of physical energy and mental energy in a 1:1 ratio. When mental energy was greatly consumed, physical strength would also decrease. Now that I think about it, it doesn't seem to be the case, because he found that physical energy would also be consumed. In normal sparring, he had never consumed pupil power as much as this time, nor did he find any abnormality in physical energy, because his physical energy was ridiculously strong compared to that of the Uchiha clan members of the same age, and a small reduction would not attract his attention at all. During the battle with the Kurigakure ninja this time, Shiratori finally realized that when the Sharingan was turned on, a trace of physical energy would flow to the head, and after using the illusion for the second time, the pupil power was almost drained, and the physical energy flowing into the head increased sharply. Shiratori thought about it, and roughly understood the reason. The activation of the Sharingan ability does only require mental power, but this will cause huge mental energy to wreak havoc in the head. The user is just a mortal body, their head is made of flesh and blood, and they can't withstand such destruction. Without the protection and repair of physical energy, without physical energy to balance the mental energy, the user's eyes, optic nerves, and even the entire head may be blown apart. The more bizarre the ability and the longer the Sharingan is open, the higher the consumption of the user's physical energy. Shiratori, who is as strong as he is, only felt a little dizzy after the battle, but as time went on, he gradually felt an indescribable pain, as if someone was holding a wooden stick, stirring it in his mind. This pain started from the eyeball and quickly spread to the entire head. It seemed that every nerve was twisted, and his face was twitching with pain. After extracting a large amount of physical energy, this pain was slowly easing, and Shiratori had fully recovered at this time. Just like that, Shiratori squatted on the tree, looking around with his eyes, and summarizing the gains from the battle. He did not call others to take over his night watch mission, because he was worried. Until the sky was pale, Ziwei and Shushin finally came back. But the news they brought back was not very good. We didn't find the whereabouts of Dingzeduo's team, nor did we find any traces of fighting. We should not have been attacked, but Ziwei's tone was a little heavy. Hinata Takashi's team may have been in trouble. After confirming the safety of Dingzeduo's team, which was closest to them, Ziwei and Shushin went straight to Hinata Takashi's route. They also did not find any traces of Hinata Takashi's team, but found some broken ninja tools along the way, and bloodstains. And the mist that was about to dissipate and still left a trace of chakra was enough to explain many problems. I just don't know who will win or lose. Now everyone, quickly pack up your belongings and retrieve the previously hidden supplies. We will rush to the southeast camp as quickly as possible and will not rest during the journey. Looking at the somewhat silent Shushin, Ziwei could only temporarily take over the captain's responsibilities and ordered everyone in an unquestionable tone. Yes. Fire Country, Southeast Camp. After repelling the third large-scale attack of Kurigakure in 6 days, the camp was in a mess. The Konoha ninjas were working hard to clean up the rubble and urgently repair the defense facilities. The few medical ninjas were running around, and after simple treatment, they transferred the wailing wounded to the temporary hospital in the rear. Temporary command post. Lord Guofeng, the transport team that was scheduled to arrive 6 days ago has not arrived yet. Such an important thing, why didn't you tell me earlier? Akimichi Guofeng broke the table with a palm, and his face, which usually had a simple smile, was now as cold as ice. The loss of contact with the transport team meant that the Kirigakure bastards had successfully bypassed the front line and began to act recklessly in the heart of the far country. This was his fault and that of the entire southeast camp. I'm very sorry, I just discovered this. The ninja who came to report was trembling all over, with cold sweat dripping down his cheeks, obviously frightened. Akimichi Taokao watched this scene and finally just waved his hand helplessly. Watching the other party trembling and leaving the tent, Taokao sat in the main seat, picked up the casualty statistics table that fell on the ground, and took a look, and couldn't help but sighed. After a long period of peaceful and stable life, the Konoha ninjas have forgotten what war is. Chief Akimichi Humaru, a senior ninja from the Akimichi clan who stood next to Taokao, was hesitant to speak. Yes. Huan gritted his teeth. Obviously this loss could have been avoided. You had already reported the unusual movements of Kirigakure to the Hokage half a month ago, and applied to send more reconnaissance ninjas to the Land of Water, but the Hokage refused, saying that the relationship between the two countries cannot be damaged by provocative and stimulating behavior. But Kirigakure spies are so arrogant that they are approaching the gate of the camp. This is simply Huamaru. Guofeng wanted to reprimand him, but he couldn't say it when he got to his lips. In the end, he had no choice but to say, Hiruzen is the Hokage after all. He must consider the overall situation and be cautious. He should have his own considerations. At this point, Guofeng remembered the expedited letter that was urgently sent here through the communication eagle. When he read it through, he almost cursed Sarutobi Hiruzen's ancestors on the spot. There will be almost no support. The focus of the village is in the direction of the Land of Lightning. The southeast camp has to block the invasion of Kirigakure alone. I'll block your grown mother's legs. You want me to fight one country with one battalion, right? And you allow Iwagakure to station troops in the Land of Fields and ambush the Raikage. How do you know that the bastards from Iwagakure won't attack the Land of Fire southwards after killing the Raikage? What do you believe in what that old Mananoki says? You are his son. If you say that he won't invade the Land of Fire, he won't come. He is your son. Thinking of this, Akimichi Norifu felt a dull pain in the wound that was bandaged under his clothes. If he hadn't desperately stopped the 3-7 ninja swordsmen including Ziggush and Buffer Ghost, the southeast camp would have been breached by now. It is not realistic to expect that they can defend the southeastern coast of the Land of Fire by themselves, unless Master Norifu, a young ninja who looked only in his teens, hurried in. Shizu, you're back so soon. How is it? You are right. Uchiha Shizu couldn't hide his joy on his face and said excitedly, Kirigakure really withdrew its troops. Are you sure? Akimichi Norifu stood up. Yes, they have evacuated the Land of Fire and stationed their camp in the Land of Waves overseas. They have also built semi-permanent facilities, seemingly to guard against our counterattack. They have no intention of sending out large-scale troops again. Akimichi Tofu breathed a sigh of relief, and even the corners of his mouth could not help but rise. Thank God, the commander of Kirigakure is a smart man. Let's talk about Uchiha Shizu's age. There are many contradictions. Shizu is the descendant of Uchiha Kagami. In the TV series, Shizu told the third generation that Uchiha Kagami was his father. I don't know if it's original. Uchiha Kagami was 25 years old when he died, which was about the time when the Sandaime became Hokage. We assume that Shizu was born that year, then he should be about the same age as Kakashi, Gai, Asuma and others, but the image of Shizu when he first appeared in the TV series was definitely no more than 12 years old. If we ignore the TV plot, we set Shizu as the grandson of Uchiha Kagami. Even if he got married and had children at the age of 18, Kagami gave birth to Shizu's father at the age of 18, and Shizu's father gave birth to Shizu at the age of 18. Then Shizu now, the third war, should have just been born, younger than Itachi, which is obviously even more impossible. So after careful consideration, I decided to follow the TV setting, that is, Shisu is the son of Uchiha Kagami, and change his age to the same as Kakashi and others. I dare not mess up the settings of Shisu, because according to the outline this character is very important later. By the way, Sarutobi Hiruzen was already in his 40s when he took over as Hokage, and he was drawn a little young in the original work. At that time, Akimichi Torikase was only 30 years old, so although they belong to the same generation, he is much younger than the Sandaime. Chapter 24 Kyu Deo Kwufeng, the puffer ghost is still a smart guy. After traveling day and night, Shiratori and others finally arrived at the southeast camp and met the Akimichi Choza team who had just arrived in front of the camp gate. There was no time to rest. After handing over the captured Kirigakure Jonin to the interrogator, everyone was immediately called over by Akimichi Taofeng who learned the news. In the big tent, Ziwei replaced the captain of Shushin and reported to Taofeng what happened on the way with Taofeng. Shiratori just listened casually, his eyes stayed on Taofeng's fat face with a sense of humor for a moment, and then he was attracted by the boy standing behind Taofeng. Uchiha Shisu noticed the gaze and smiled gently at Shiratori. It must be said that Shisu's smile is really too contagious. Coupled with a kind personality and handsome face, it will make people subconsciously feel good. But like his father Uchiha Kagami, they are all alternatives among the Uchiha, and their relationship with the clan members is not lukewarm, but they are very close to the top leaders of Konoha. Therefore, old man Setsuna would never take the initiative to talk about Shisu. Even if Shiratori took the initiative to ask, he would just casually perfunctorily say a few words. Not only Setsuna, but other elders in the clan would often praise Shiratori and call him the hope of the family's revival. Instead, they would selectively ignore Shisu, a genius who was more famous earlier. In their view, Shisu could become the bond between the family and the village, but he had no chance of becoming the head of the family. Shisu was also looking at Shiratori. He had long heard that there was a genius in the clan who was comparable to or even surpassed himself. Seeing him today was indeed eye-opening, especially since Shiratori still had 3 masks of the Kirigakure assassination team hanging around his waist, and in the narration of Senior Ziwei, he had a record of killing Kirigakure ninjas head-on alone. It can be seen that Shiratori is indeed worthy of the name. Those who can enter the assassination team are the most elite ninjas in Kirigakure, even if they are only chunin. Even if Konoha's special Jonin encounters them head-on, it will take some effort to win. It's a pity. He is the successor trained by Elder Setsuna. Shisu felt a little regretful, knowing that he and Shiratori could not be the same kind of people. Shiratori. Shiratori suddenly heard someone calling him, and hurriedly looked in the direction of the voice, and saw Akimichi Norifuge's smiling face. I'm very sorry. There should be nothing worse than being caught by the big boss during a meeting. It's okay. I'm a good friend of your grandfather, and I have heard him mention you many times. Norifuge looked at Shiratori and liked him more and more. He felt like an old man looking at his younger generation at home. I heard Ziwei talk about the process of the battle. Very good, very good. From today on, you are a chunin. Senior Norifuge, it's just a simple decision, is it okay? Shiratori was still mentally prepared to become a chunin, but didn't the appointment of a chunin require the consent of the Hokage? It's wartime now. As the highest commander on the front line, I still have this power. I just need to report to Hiruzen. Shisu. Yes. Notify all the Jonin in the camp to hold a combat meeting in 10 minutes. Yes. Shisu left quickly. With the arrival of the 3 elite Jonins, Ziwei, Dingzhou, and Suten, Kwufeng finally felt a little more confident. It was time to determine the next combat plan. It was a pity that Hyuga Takaru, the elite Jonin of the Hyuga clan, was most likely sacrificed. After the meeting, someone must be sent to find him immediately. I hope his Beian will not fall into the hands of the enemy. 10 minutes later, all the Jonin in the southeast camp crowded into the big tent. At this time, their eyes were dull and their faces were full of disbelief. They were abandoned? Lord Kwufeng, is there really no reinforcement? Why? Even if we prioritize dealing with Kumogakure, we can't just leave Kirigakure alone. We only have 2,000 soldiers. We have already lost hundreds of people in the previous attacks, and the wounded are countless. Kirigakure has dispatched 8,000 ninjas, led by 5 ninja swordsmen 7. Damn it, is our southeast camp just an insignificant sacrifice in the eyes of the village? Shut up. Seeing that the discussion was gradually heading in a dangerous direction, Ikwafeng smashed the table he had just repaired with a fierce palm, barely suppressing the voices of the crowd. The situation has not yet reached the most dangerous point. Everyone should be patient. Ikwafeng signaled the ninjas standing in the front row to make way, and then spread a map on the ground. We will not have any reinforcement, but Kirigakure, I don't know. Ikwafeng pointed at the land of waves, which was isolated on the sea, and said in a deep voice, Kirigakure has retreated to the land of waves to set up camp. It seems that they will not attack again in the short term. Why? Everyone fell into deep thought. After a moment, Aburame Shiwei, who was standing in the first row, suddenly realized, they are afraid of our counterattack, especially the counterattack after the reinforcement arrive. They don't want to be the first. That's right. Kirigakure's thoughts are very simple, that is, they don't want to be the first bird to stand out. Although besieged by the 4 countries, Konoha's strength is enough to look down on the ninja world. Kirigakure is the first and only enemy to hit the land of fire, and it is likely that they will be given special attention by Konoha. The commander of Kirigakure is a smart man. He set the tone of diversion for Kirigakure's attack from the beginning. He only needs to contain a large number of Konoha's troops in the southeast direction, and leave the rest to the other 3 countries to fight hard. He will never be stupid enough to be the first bird to stand out. There are 2 considerations for withdrawing from the land of fire and stationing in the land of waves. First, when the reinforcement from Konoha arrive, they will definitely counterattack the Kirigakure troops that have landed. The Kirigakure commander does not think that they can withstand the wrath of the other side in Konoha's home court. Second, the land of waves is an island country surrounded by the endless sea. Compared with the forests of the land of fire, the sea is undoubtedly more suitable for the Kirigakure ninjas to perform. Using the land of waves as a battlefield to resist Konoha is the best choice. Seeing the extremely disobedient smirk on the honest face of their commander, the senior ninjas present couldn't help but shudder. Ikwafeng thought of more when Kirigakure learns that the Reikage has been ambushed and the Kazekage is missing. Things may become more interesting. If the Reikage dies, Kumogakure will inevitably fall into a certain degree of chaos. If the Kazekage disappears, the internal situation of Sand Village will not be too good. Plus the Iwagakure, who have formed an alliance with Konoha to pit Kumogakure together. Will Konoha, who will be free at that time, concentrate its forces to give a hard blow to the Kirigakure, the first to jump out? With the intelligence of the Kirigakure commander, he will definitely think of this. At that time, Kirigakure will not even want the land of waves and withdraw to the land of water overnight. That would be interesting. Of course, the premise of all this is that before the news that Konoha will concentrate its main forces to attack Kumogakure is passed to Kirigakure, the fact that there will be no reinforcement in the southeast camp is covered up. Chapter 25, Pufferfish Ghost, You Know Nothing. Konoha abandoned the southeastern camp, which was strategically located. All ninjas disappeared into the forest behind the camp in small groups, abandoning the camp and retreating collectively. Such a weird scene had another meaning in the eyes of Ziggush and Puffer Ghost. The damn Konoha ninjas took me for an idiot. Isn't this a trap? They must be reinforcement to lure us into attacking and then draw a circle to trick me in and kill me. The scam is so poor and they still want to plot against me? This is all you can do, Akimichi Tofu. In the Kirigakure camp of Wave Country, Ziggush and Puffer Ghost, the highest commander of the Kirigakure front and the leader of the 7 ninja swordsmen, sat triumphantly in the main seat and refused to give the order to attack. He enjoyed the voices of condemnation and doubt, and his face seemed to be filled with the 5 words "You know nothing." Feeling that the Puffer Ghost looked at him as if he was mentally retarded, Biwajuzo was so angry that he wanted to take out his beheading sword and cut a hole in the other part of his body. The senior ninja king, who was serving as a frontline staff officer, walked in, but was shocked by the messy scene. He thought he had come to a vegetable market. In terms of the discipline of ninjas, Kumogakure and the current Mist Village are simply 2 extremes. One is like a disciplined samurai corps in ancient times, and the other is like a street gang holding a meeting. Everyone Everyone, please listen to me. King raised his voice and finally attracted the attention of the uncles. However, the expressions of the 5 ninja swordsmen 7 present at this time, including the puffer ghost sitting in the main seat, were not respectful and seemed a little dissatisfied. In their eyes, King, this guy, except for his brain, was a piece of shit, and he had no right to interrupt their conversation. Not to mention that he was just a frontline staff officer. Even the 4th Mizukage of Kirigakure, Kiritachi Yagira, was just a stinky dwarf who got lucky in their eyes. I say, what happened to your eyes? King covered his right eye protected by a black eye patch and replied calmly, I was injured when I went to ambush the transport team of Konoha. Heh, what a waste. The pufferfish ghost sneered disdainfully. King took a deep breath and wanted to show his ability to sow discord immediately so that these uncles who like internal strife would stab each other a few times. My lords. King gritted his teeth. I know why the pufferfish ghost gave up the attack. Oh. Tell me. The pufferfish ghost was interested. So King said his guess, which was basically the same as the pufferfish ghost's idea and the idea that a kimchi tofu wanted the pufferfish ghost to have. Yes, that's what I mean. I didn't expect that a waste like you is so smart. Then why didn't you say it just now? Kurishake Kishimaru, wearing a mask and a big hair, questioned the pufferfish ghost. I'm too lazy to explain to you idiots, and I'm happy to appreciate your stupidity. Hearing this, Biwa Juzang reached out and grasped the beheading sword behind him, and the other 3 people's eyes also flashed with dangerous light. Seeing that a full-scale fight was about to take place, the tired king hurriedly changed the subject. Master Pufferfish Ghost, what is the next action plan? Do you want to guess? The pufferfish ghost twisted his fat body, bared his mouth full of fangs, and smiled at King. He really hadn't thought it through. He didn't dare to fight, and he couldn't retreat. He could only stay in the land of waves in a cowardly manner. The pufferfish ghost felt very upset. King thought for a moment, and said in a tentative tone, next, we should send a large number of ninjas in the form of reconnaissance teams, to enter the forest behind Konoha's southeast camp, to find out the truth, or even bypass the southeast camp, and enter the heart of the fire country to see if there is an ambush. This war is a joint siege of the fire country by the 4 countries. Even if Konoha has reinforcement, the number will not be too large. They will not leave the other 3 countries alone and only target us, Kirigakure, and besides. He sorted out his thoughts and became more and more confident as he spoke. A kimchi tofu is good at winning by frontal assault, but this time he changed his style and chose to set up an encirclement that even a 3-year-old child can see. Upon hearing this, the 4 people, except the Fugu ghost, felt offended. What do you mean? What are you talking about, bastard? Are you laughing at me, sir? What do you mean even a child can see that? Slip of the tongue, slip of the tongue. That's not what I meant. King waved his hands quickly, sweating coldly. I mean that Konoha may have some problems with reinforcement. Do you think that bastard Akimichi Tofu is bluffing? Biwajuazao frowned. So according to you, we should launch a large-scale attack. Miri Shinpachi was eager to try. I don't know, it's just a guess. Even if it's conservative, it's reasonable. King didn't dare to take the responsibility. With the nature of these guys, if the attack was frustrated due to misjudgment, he would definitely throw himself out to take the blame. Well, that's right. The idea of the Blue Jonin coincides with mine. The Fugu stood up and looked around at everyone. No matter what happens in Konoha, we can't just sit back and watch. Kisame. Master Fugu. Behind Fugu, a tall young ninja with a shark face stood up. Pass my order. Kirigakure finally took action. Some ninjas gathered in teams. Biwajuzo was reluctant, but he still accepted this obviously thankless task from the Fugu. He led the Kirigakure ninjas to the other side of the sea, preparing to enter the forest full of unknowns in batches to test the land of fields. The verdant fields have turned into a barren desert with pits and potholes. The peaks and rock walls formed by the earth escape are stacked layer by layer, surrounding the huge collapsed pit in the center. In the huge pit is a sea of blood and corpses composed of Iwagakure ninjas. Sachika Jinoki covered his waist, which was still bleeding, flew tremblingly into the air, and stared at the man surrounded by countless broken limbs and arms. The man was sturdy, with a lightning-shaped scar on his chest. His eyes were wide open, but he had already lost his breath. Even if he died of exhaustion, he did not fall down, like an indestructible mountain. Ah. Respectable. Inoki landed on the ground, staggered for a while, but did not accept the support of his subordinates, and tried to straighten his not-so-tall body. Don't let the Raikage look down on you. The Raikage did not denounce the betrayal of the Iwagakure, nor did he ask for peace talks, but just kept fighting until he died. For 3 days and 3 nights, the Raikage persisted for 3 days and 3 nights. He was even able to fight back under the siege of the Iwagakure. Inoki's waist was pierced by the Raikage's hell-stab one-handed hand, because he was not checked for a while during the battle. He might also suffer from a root of disease in the future, but he did not regret it. Compared to Konoha, the increasingly powerful Kumogakure made him feel more fearful. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.